after the government had taken the decision to lift the ban.
The inquiry into claims of bullying by Britain's Deputy Prime Minister has reportedly led to a complete breakdown of trust between ministers and civil servants. The British think tank Institute for Government says it exposed deep flaws on handling poor ministerial behaviour. Dominic Raab is accusing a small minority of activist civil servants of forcing him out of the job. Conservative Party colleague Jacob Rees-Mogg agrees with him.
The job of the civil service is not to agree or disagree with government policy, but is to carry out the policy of the democratically elected government. Dominic felt that wasn't being done. He was therefore reasonable to criticise civil servants for not doing it.
The government is being urged to take the threat of artificial intelligence to our democracy more seriously. Fianna Gael Senator John McGahon is warning that future Irish elections could be targeted by malicious actors if protections aren't put in place. The controversial rise of AI has most recently seen a German magazine release a fake interview with Formula One star Michael Schumacher, for which his family is suing. Senator McGahn says the Irish government needs to be more proactive.
So I really don't think we have a full grasp of what we need to do with AI. I think it needs to be strongly regulated. And I think we, as the European Union and governments around the world, really need to start acting very, very quickly.
The finance ministers welcomed an upturn in Ireland's fortunes. American credit rating agency Moody's has upgraded the country's sovereign credit rating to AA3. It returns Ireland to its AA category for the first time since 2010 and puts us on par with countries like Britain, France and Hong Kong. Minister Michael McGrath says it's a very positive development, reflecting the ongoing strength of the Irish economy. That's it for now. More at 4.
News Talk weather.
Thanks to Ryanair. Swap Irish rain for Italian sunshine with Ryanair's low-fare flights to Pisa, Naples or Rome.
Generally cloudy today with outbreaks of rain in Ulster, Connacht, North Leinster and North Munster, with heavy showers elsewhere, with highest temperatures of 9 to 12 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Sky. Don't miss Newcastle versus Spurs on Super Sunday. Live only on Sky Sports.
This is News Talk.
And you're welcome back to Off the Ball Saturday here on News Talk. John Duggan with you as always. Just give you some scores before we get into the conversation here. Sligo 1-6, New York 3 points in the Connacht football semi-final at Marquee Fish Park, 20 minutes gone. Antrim 1-11, Dublin 12 points in the hurling, and Leinster the round robin at Cargan Park at Belfast half time. Kerry had beaten Kildare 117 to 14 points in the John McDonnell Cup at Hawkfield. In the Women's Six Nations, England lead Ireland 20 points to 0 at Musgrave Park after 35 minutes. In the Women's Champions League semi-final, Barcelona 1, Chelsea 0 in their first leg full-time score, and Galway United 2, Sligo Rovers 0 at half-time at Eamon DC Park in the Women's Premier Division. This is Football Saturday, folks. You're very welcome to the show. Remember, Football and Off the Ball brought to you by Sky. Watch every live Premier League game this season on Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sports. You can text us 53106, tweet us at Off the Ball. We're streaming the conversation. You can listen across the country on your radio and News Talk. Also watch us on the digital and social channels for Twitter at Off the Ball, YouTube, Facebook. We also podcast the show every week, folks, on the Off the Ball section of the Go Loud Network. It's also available wherever you get your pods. Delighted to have in studio the broadcaster and journalist Johnny Ward and the football correspondent of the Irish Independent, Dan McDonnell. How are you both?
Hey, JD.
Good, JD.
How was your week?
Just busy, going to football matches, writing about football, just the usual.
Talking about football, living the dream.
Yeah, that's it. Johnny's been doing a bit of racing, obviously, so he's been around the country. He was in Kilbeggan, were you, on Thursday?
Kilbeggan met interviewing Jim Sheridan.
Yes, the film director.
But then I was in Back to Normal last night in Inchicore for... Yeah, Jack Byrne came in, I think, wearing shades and he didn't necessarily put on a show.
He didn't have an American accent, no?
No, but he does look a bit American. I think Jack is the type of fella who'd get on well in America. Certainly would like it over there. But he was part of a Rovers team that fairly comfortably dispatched St. Pat's 2-0, and it was an interesting night.
Did you recognise Jim Sheridan when you saw him?
Oh, yeah, because I actually met him out randomly there last year, and I would have watched the Sophie Toscan-Duplantier documentary. Yes. So that would have been, I suppose, that was only shot in the last 2 or 3 years. So Jim's getting on now. He's mid-70s or something, but he's working on 3 projects at the moment. One of them is an add-on to the Sophie Toscan-Duplantier thing, and another one is about his mother growing up in Sheriff Street and the role of sort of the church and religion in the life of that time. And I can't remember his other thing, but he's not slowing down.
He's My Left Foot, isn't he? And In the Name of the Father.
Yeah, and he's done if you look at his list, it's actually really extensive. And he seemed to be very proud of the Sophie Toscan de Plantier one. The field as well, I suppose, would be a very
one of the greatest performances by Richard Harris in that movie. One of the greatest acting performances. Laura's on the line. Laura, were you a Richard Harris fan?
How you doing, John? All good?
Yeah, good. Did you ever see The Field? Did you ever see that movie, The Field?
The baseball. Was it a baseball movie?
That's Field of Dreams.
An American, all right, but...
All right. Oh, well, it was almost there, wasn't it? No, remind me what the field...
Richard Harris had an argument over a field about an American who comes to Ireland and wants to buy a field, and Richard Harris is the farmer, and he's very annoyed about it, and it gets all very violent, and it's very Irish, west of Ireland. Richard Harris, early 90s.
Yeah, I know him. Brilliant actor. I'll have to get it. I'll write it down in a minute.
In the Name of the Father as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so he's done a lot of really profound stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
Laura could have been an actor, I think.
Reckon?
Yeah. I think you have the qualities for it. You haven't that?
I'm not sure about that.
There we go.
It's a very convincing face when he said that, to be fair.
Graham Souness was in Boys in the Black Stuff. I think I remember he had a cameo role in it. It was this kind of early 80s documentary about unemployment in Liverpool.
Wow.
Who else was with him, John?
Who else? I don't know. Can't remember.
Sammy Lee.
Lee. Wow. There you go. We got Premier League games going on. We got Liverpool in action at the moment against Nottingham Forest. At Anfield, 7 minutes on the watch, no score. We have also games at 3 o'clock, including Brentford, Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, Everton, Leicester, Wolves, Fulham against Leeds. Fulham 2, Leeds 1. Bad result for Leeds United. We're right down the bottom of the table there in the Championship. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 matches, no goals in any of them so far. So you were at the game between Pats and Rovers last night, lads. I was watching Arsenal 3-3 draw, thrown it away, I feel. 3 games they've had and only, 3 points out of 9. Laura, do you think they've blown it? Do you think Arsenal have blown the title?
Yeah, I do. And I think, obviously in 2 of those games, they were 2-0 up, certainly at Anfield, and then obviously the second game as well. And, they had kind of capitulated a little bit. And, Bournemouth, remember when Bournemouth almost beat them, didn't they? And now, of course, obviously last night with Southampton, there's just something a little bit wrong there. They've not really changed the way they play. But I think it's like anything, John, to win that competition, sometimes you just have to win ugly. But the main thing for me was if you are not conceding goals with the quality of players, forward players and midfield players that Arsenal have got, they'd have another 4 or 5 points on top of that. So that's their great problem. They will now be sat around the dressing room looking at each other and thinking, what's gone wrong? So this is the time when you really, really need the manager to come up with something, whatever he says, whatever he does. Did they play City?
They played City on Wednesday, next Wednesday at the Etihad, yeah. Yeah,
so, massive, massive game. Can you imagine Sky hyping this one up? It'd be unbelievable.
The only thing, Laura, is they kind of need to win it now. And
but maybe that in a way is not a bad thing.
Yeah, it might, because if they were, you didn't really fancy them anyway, in the sense of if they go there, a draw is fine. At least it's kind of like it makes it a clearer narrative as to what they need to do. Now, whether they'll do it or not, I don't know, but it might help.
It basically, as far as your mind is in towards thinking about the game and going to play, knowing you have to win is far better than actually thinking a draw's good enough. And I think it puts you in the right frame of mind, most definitely. But I don't know, I don't know what the manager's saying to the players. I don't know what the players feel, etc. But I would think privately rather than publicly, they're all thinking, you know what, we've probably lost our chance. They've had an outstanding season. They've been a really, really good team. But you cannot, at this stage of the season, come up with these results because in the end, Manchester City, who are relentless, will basically just win the competition.
Is he kind of 2 ways looking at it? You could have a look at it like it's Newcastle 96 or Liverpool 14 and they've lost their chance, or they have been brilliant this season and they got something to build on. Yeah,
in terms of going forward into the next season. Yeah. Well, yeah, in terms of next season, I'm sure, I don't know, will they be would they be scarred by it if they don't win this one? I wouldn't be so sure. I think it's probably still, you can spin, and in a way that probably depends by how they finish it as well. Like obviously if the wheels come off completely and then there's sort of some kind of recriminations or something, then maybe it can be damaging. But otherwise, yeah, sometimes a team, what's that? You need to lose one to win one. That you sort of, you get to experience that and you're ready for next time. And that's maybe they also have a young team as well, and it's sort of. It's difficult. I know there's been situations with Saka's future and various talks, but you'd assume they're going to keep most of their main players. And okay, next season they're going to have the Champions League and this European thing they weren't dealing with this year. But yeah, no, I think it's just very hard to see it ending any other way now. Even just the fact, City at the moment are. Again, they're playing. This weekend they're playing a FA Cup semi-final this afternoon. Sheffield United. A team with an eye on promotion. We'll see. I'm sure they'll play a strong side, but you would feel like it mightn't be the most taxing one for them, and even the Bayern tie, how they managed to make that, to remove a lot of the suspense from it in the first game. They've just it's played well for them, City. They don't look like a team that's really fatigued. At this stage,
it's like quite the opposite, actually.
Yeah, and that's the problem for Arsenal. That City, you just don't see them stopping, do you?
I think. To be honest with you, John, sorry, this was the year that Arsenal have to win it, because I think teams will get stronger. I think Liverpool will get stronger. You would hopeful as well that Chelsea will get stronger, etc. Manchester United, and I think if they're ever going to win it, this has had to be the season. And I just think they'll fall short. I mean, they've had an outstanding season, but I would think at the end of the day, come whatever it is, last weekend in May. They'll be second in the league and they'll sit around the dressing room looking at each other thinking, you know what, we should have won it.
They have to give themselves the best shot, JD, because their points tally in the season they've had is outstanding.
Yeah.
And if you were to say to
Arsenal,
Arsenal,
won 23 out of 32 games,
and you were to say if you can go into the last 6 games and basically it's not only in your own hands, but if you draw against Man City, it's still in your own hands. And then their next game is against Chelsea at home. I wouldn't fancy Chelsea to beat anyone at the moment. Then they play Newcastle away. But if they beat Newcastle away, Laura, their last 3 games are Brighton at home, Forest away and Wolves at home. So you do feel it's still within reach for them. It's just if I were in Arteta's shoes now, I'd be probably just having a team meeting and just saying we've had an outstanding season here, but regardless of what happens, let's finish this season really, really well. Let's have the belief that we've shown all season. And there's a good chance City are going to drop points somewhere. And I think the key game could be that Newcastle game away, because I think if they go into the last 3 games in a good shape, I think they'll win the 3 of them.
Just Brighton are pretty good.
The Brighton at home.
I don't know.
Yeah, they should. But if
Brighton
it's inside
the European spot as well.
Yeah, I think Brighton are a tricky team.
Oh, they are.
Face at the moment.
The problem is City don't need to win now on Wednesday. There's a 5-point gap. And City have got 2 games in hand.
Yeah, but
City will want also. City are going to have obviously a very draining, and these are the factors. City are going to have a very draining Champions League semi-final. You would think, that's going to be a tough 2-legged tie. So I think in City's mindset, it's thinking, yes, let's try and get this done on Wednesday as much as anything. Just win this game, and it gives City a cushion which they haven't had, and that. I mean, I think that isn't a kind fixture list for me for Arsenal, to be honest. I think that's a tough run in.
Yeah, I think as well, John, is that City, I think every single person is fit, are they not?
Yes. Yeah.
Which at this stage of the season is a little bit miraculous. So they're all wanting to play, obviously, because it's the business end of the season, win the competitions, etc. So you can imagine. In terms of all the players, I mean, it's probably 17 or 18 of them, all thinking they should be playing, and that will really, really push them on. And they have got so much quality, as we know. They can even play without the big fella up front, obviously, with however many goals he's got. They showed that against Liverpool.
48.
And I just think, they are in a moment now where they've generally under Guardiola been in really, really good moments, but this moment now, I think for City is the best that they've had, and they've had the experience. They've had obviously making mistakes in the Champions League, etc., etc. I I think they'll go on and make a sweep of quite a few of the trophies, to be quite honest with you. And I think they're sat in the dressing room now. I think their feeling will be, we could play every day this week and we could win every game. And when you're in that mode, it's just like, bring it on, whoever we play against, just bring it on, we'll take them on, and obviously we'll do the business.
I wouldn't fancy like laying them to win the treble, but Laura, if you said to Pep now, you'll win the Champions League but not the Premier League, would he take it?
Yeah,
that's the one 100%. Thing Arsenal might have. It's not their priority, really, the league. It isn't. Like, they want to win the Champions League, and that's maybe the one little bit of hope they have.
When you were like that at Liverpool, were you that way, Laura, when you were winning everything? Were you like, get it on, bring it on?
Yeah, you'd play every day. Honestly, seriously would. And you just get in this. It's very difficult to describe. I think, obviously, in terms of your head's clear, your mind's clear. You kind of look around the dressing room, even in games where maybe you're expected to win, you might be 1-0 down at half time. You look around the players that you had in the team, etc., and you think, we'll do this today, not worry. More often than not, you got the job done. And and it's utter belief, and it's not arrogance, and it's not big-headedness or anything like that. You just know sometimes in these teams that whatever happens, you're going to win, because you just have this belief, and it makes a massive, massive difference. And I tell you what, it really, really does frighten opposition teams. They might go 1-0 up against you, and you know what they think? They don't think, like, hang on, we'll win 1-0. They'll probably go, oh my God, it's coming. The tidal wave's coming, and that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, and everybody's playing really at their peak at the moment. Stones is playing well, Diaz is playing well, Haaland is obviously a machine.
Well, what about the way that they've gone about with the playing obviously defenders in midfield now, which everybody seems to be doing. Liverpool are doing that with Trent Alexander-Arnold, it looks like, etc. And that's
is that easy to do, Laura? Was it easy to, because you did both? Is it easy to do for Trent or for Stones? Or
easy for Stones because he's a very good player and he's good on the ball and he sees things, and he's got, if he does make a mistake, he's got the pace to recover. But when you're playing a really good team, John, you just get caught up alongside everything that happens in it. That's very, 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 very positive. And look, even before they started to put Stones in there, I mean, most of the teams that they played against, Manchester City had probably 20-25% possession, and now they've got even less. And then when you've got players in the team who can, make goals, create goals, score goals, you look at it and you just think, wow, what a team to play in. But he's done well, Guardiola. I think we've talked about this before, that occasionally he overthinks it. I think he's maybe past that now. And I see them beating Madrid home and away because they should have done it, obviously, last year, because, it was mad how they went out of that competition and the way that they went out. But, I think they can virtually win everything they want to.
This is the thing, though. It is really all down to that Champions League, and they're like, they can win the cup, they can win the league, but this is a failure of a season if they don't win the Champions League, because they should be beating Real Madrid. They certainly should be beating one of the Milanese teams in the final. And they've no excuses. Their whole team is available. They're coming in peak form, and I just wonder mentally, will they get over the line?
I've said this for the last 5 years, and I've been wrong every time. So look,
I think regardless of what you say, it's in the background. And Real Madrid,
I don't think it is. I think Haaland has made it not in the background.
It's just John, you're going to make this mistake again, aren't you? You're talking about like Istabrak's first champion hurdle last year or something. Like it's it's still cup football, the Champions League. Everything happens in the way that you think it should. And the fact is that they sort of beat Real Madrid last year. They did them for 178 minutes and they still lost by things that could have happened if Haaland was on the pitch or not. I know that Grealish had chances to win it or whatever, but mad stuff can happen in these ties, and it's happened to City before. So, you will be, as you said, you'll be right eventually. Yeah. You keep saying it, you will be right eventually.
And it'll be 80.
But Yeah, like Madrid sort of know how to win these things as well, you know.
They haven't been great away from home, the Champions League. Like
you're still on this Leipzig thing, aren't you?
No, well, like even
Johnny Ward invested heavily in the first leg of a Champions League tie and are analysing it like it was the final. They hammered them in the second leg.
They did, but like the other night, even like Sané scores.
City were good the other night.
They were in the.
They put it to bed. Like they didn't do anything stupid.
Sané should have scored, and then it's a goal. And I'm wondering, I don't know. They definitely should be Real Madrid, and with Haaland's pace, Real Madrid like are going to be in trouble. But I don't know. I absolutely hope they don't. But they should do it this time. I just wonder though, mentally, are they still a little brittle?
5-3. Go on, Lara.
Well, I was just gonna say, because obviously when Madrid won it last year, I did no bias. I thought Liverpool were a much better team, and obviously sometimes the best teams don't win. I think City have been a little bit unfortunate. Yeah, they made one or two wrong decisions, but you have to have a little bit of luck, and I just feel it's with them at the moment.
I can't wait for that game. I have to say, Real and City, like it's
the final.
It's the final. It should be the final, and it's also the fact that Real really shouldn't be that good. They've like still extremely reliant on two players who are like well into their mid-30s, late 30s in Modric's case.
Kroos, yeah.
And like really shouldn't be that good. Like if they had another manager, I don't actually think they would be that good.
I don't think they were that great against Chelsea actually in the first half.
No, but again, it was kind of. I thought they were sort of in second or third gear.
Pick them off, yeah.
But again, Chelsea did create chances against them, and you'd imagine City certainly will. But as long as they hold on in there, I do wonder.
We're watching Liverpool at the moment against Forest, goalless, 21 minutes on the watch. Wolves have scored at Leicester. How bad can it get for Leeds and Leicester?
The Leicester, like Leicester really is. If Leicester go down, when you think about it, like that team that. I mean, when was that when they won the FA Cup? Is that like 2 years ago? It feels like it was 2021. No, I think it was 2021 because the fans were starting to come back in.
COVID.
2020 is when we had no football in May and June because we're talking about World Cups here. I think it was 2021 when fans started to come back that Leicester won the FA Cup and they should have got Champions League
2 years ago.
They sort of lost their way, and as well, was it Liverpool that pipped them that time with Alisson's goal? Was it? I'm trying to think.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah.
West Brom.
Yeah,
so fifth places.
You know, Leicester, and at that time we would have spoken about Leicester as a pretty stable club, and I mean, the idea now they're in the Championship within about 2.5 years of that. It does seem. I mean, if they don't win this game today, it's sort of hard to see how they turn it around.
Yeah, it's they're all as bad as each other down the bottom. It seems between Southampton, Leicester, Leeds. Southampton
be very rueful. I mean, you're 2 goals up with 3 minutes to go.
Look, Arsenal could have scored 5 goals in that last 10 minutes. I'm telling you, it's the vantage point I was watching it. And you were,
how was Bazunu?
He wasn't bad. What I liked about Bazunu, he was spoiling the play a bit, and he was playing smart. He was slowing things down. He was getting booze, and I just think this is an amazing experience for him. Whatever happens the next 3 to 5 years of his career, he's getting an experience Kevin Keller isn't getting.
Yeah, he's actually had some of his better games this year. Bazunu have been against the big teams away from home. He actually had a good experience at Stamford Bridge at Old Trafford. It's actually some of the other games where he hasn't been at his.
No issues for the goals.
Yeah.
But John, isn't that because he's obviously away against the better teams? He's having more to do being the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
He's certainly getting plenty of practice. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder. I don't know how his confidence always as high as it used to be. But you're going to go through wobbles, I suppose, in a struggling team, and it's a lot to ask for such.
Well, he made less mistakes than Aaron Ramsdale last night. Put it that way.
I think about Gavin is like he is actually like he's only 21. And again, he had a year like that at Rochdale 2 years ago. Conceding a load of goals for a team who was down at the bottom of the table in League One, and he came back from that to get to where he is now. So I think he's pretty resilient. It's funny. Like
he's still a baby, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, a goalkeeping terms.
I mean that in the nicest possible way. Still, for a goalkeeper, it's just a baby.
Yeah, goalkeepers playing in their 40s. 53106. You want to get in touch? Liverpool 0, Forest 0. Any word around Anfield about maybe midfield signings with Bellingham not being in the mix now? Lara, were you hearing anything?
No, but I'll tell you a little story. I was there for the Arsenal game, and the big rumour, and I don't necessarily listen to a lot of rumours, but it was some of the ex-players who'd heard this. They thought that Bellingham was done, and not only Bellingham, but also his brother. We were told that it was all done and that his brother's going to follow him, and of course, then the next day, can't afford to buy him. So no, there are all sorts of rumours, and like any club at this time of the season, but you just know they're going to buy 3 midfield players, I would have thought. And I think, if it was going to be 100 million on Bellingham plus another 20, 30 million on his wages, well, you're trying to get 3 players at 40 million in, aren't you?
Yeah, they were talking about Mount, I was hearing. And
yeah, I think they'd take him. I'd take Mount. But listen, it remains to be seen. And obviously, they were interesting, certainly against Leeds the other night on the Monday, when, as I say, Trent Alexander-Arnold played in that position, and he just made it look extremely easy. And I presume, well, it's the same team today, John, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll just clarify that in a second.
Do you have faith in Klopp turning it around, Lauro?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, he's the club. Listen, I'd rather them sell all the players before they let him go. He's just got it, and he'll be majorly disappointed by the fact that the board have gone, you know what, Jurgen, if you take him, you can't take anybody else. And I think he's looking at the bigger picture and thought, yeah, I'm disappointed we can't take the boy Bellingham, but, let's have a real go and let's see who else we can bring in. And I think as well, you need, because of what they've been through, you need a few new faces in that dressing room at the start of next season. If you could get 3 or possibly 4, and there'd be lots of people going out, but if you could get 3 or possibly 4 straight away in the dressing room, lots of players will be under pressure. And I think at this level, when you've got really good players and you put them under pressure, it's when they show why they are good players.
Yeah, unchanged, Lauro. Who are the front 3 then next season? I was looking to spend like 192 million euros spent on Diaz, Nunez and Gakpo. Now you also got Jota and Salah in the mix. Who are the 3 then next season, the first choice 3?
Well, it's interesting because the other night at Leeds, Jota was all over the place for ages, and then obviously the switch came on. I think Diaz will play on the left. I'm just looking at Nunez. I'd just like to see him playing through the middle because he is lightning quick, and I think at the moment he keeps swapping different positions. Salah obviously is an absolute must on the right, and then you've got Jota, etc. So, and Gakpo, well, another one. So. It's a great position to be in if you're the manager. If you can get the middle of the pitch sorted, and obviously stop conceding goals, the first goals in games, then they're going to have a real chance next season. But it remains to be seen, obviously, who they get. And I don't think Klopp will be sat down at the moment, JD, thinking this is my front 3. I think he'll go, I've got 5 in there. And any 3 on the day.
It's more the midfield as well. I'm not really sure there was an awful lot of thought put into do these players work together up front, but their midfield has been so poor all season, and Fabinho's had a poor season, and I don't think Klopp really knows. The other night he played
Curtis Jones.
Yeah, Curtis Jones. He kind of did okay. Leeds were terrible now. I don't know, Laura. That area, there seems to be kind of a lack of confidence through the team because as much as they've improved defensively, they still don't convince at all.
No, well, in all honesty, since Virgil van Dijk got injured at Everton with the goalkeeper, he has not been the same. He really seriously hasn't, and he's almost. He looks like, I don't know, he might have lost half a yard of pace,
which is understandable.
Yeah, of course it is. And it's like now, whereas he'd have got in that position and then just be stood there and obviously sorting it out. Now he's only just getting there into those positions. And they still look open. I mean, Konate's been the best of the defenders that they've had. I mean, Robinson's not had a particularly good season. Trent's defensively been all over the place. And Matip's sort of in and out. But Konate's definitely been as good as anybody else. So, yeah, it's easier, isn't it, boys, to have to mend that part of the team and also the midfield rather than the front players. And if you've got 5 strikers, you've got a real chance if you can sort out midfield and defensively of being a top team.
What is the feeling on Gakpo actually, Laura? I'm just curious because I saw a bit of him at the World Cup, and then he's obviously the Dutch are in Ireland's group this year, and he played a couple of different positions in the World Cup. And what's your stance on him generally in terms of, I don't know, where he's best suited to play? Or
yeah, well, I was just going to say, because I'm going to say I quite like him. I'm not sure which his best position is, and he's played, well, certainly on the left and through the middle. But he's just, I think a little bit like Núñez as well. It's taken them a while to come to terms with the way that Liverpool play. And then the other thing is that, they've been left out for some games and it can mess you with your head, that you're kind of thinking, oh, he's left me out today. Is that because I'm not playing particularly well? Whatever. And of course, sometimes you actually try too hard when you've been left out and you come back in. So I don't think Klopp sees that as a problem. He just sees that I've got 5 sort of top attackers and we'll sort that out. But I think Gakpo will get there. He's got pace and he dribbles past people and he can score. So like all of the rest of them, basically.
To get the lads who give out about us being Liverpool TV, you'll be delighted. We've spent half an hour talking about a team.
We spoke about the field. We spoke about field dreams.
Yeah.
Spoke about Man City winning the Champions League and Everton. We've only done 5 minutes on Liverpool.
They are in danger though of slipping away when you look at like the money that Newcastle will have and where City are at. Liverpool were so far off this season. It's a big couple. I don't know. I'm not convinced Klopp is. I think Klopp is kind of done with Liverpool at this stage, but I'm just not sure he has it in him to start over. I think he's just a bit tired. Maybe I'm wrong, Laura, but historically he kind of does move on.
Yeah, he does. I just think this is a little bit of a different thing for him, and it's really, really personal. And to be quite honest with you, he won't make the decision. It'll be his wife, Ula. So, which sounds ridiculous, but I think that's the kind of arrangement that they seem to have, and she's very much. I mean, what other manager's wife do you know? The team, the crowd sing a song about them, a good one that is. So, no, and I think we've looked at him, and he's looked. Oh, some of the games, I've been to all the home games, and some of the games you look at him and you can see him thinking, what on earth is all this? But I think he's just one of those people who'll be able to park all of that, go to the Americans and say, right, come on, let's have a real go again. And they're great with him. They let him get on with it, but obviously he cannot spend the fortunes that every single Liverpool supporter seems to want or think that he has to do.
53106, sell Salah, get Jude, Diaz, Gakpo, Núñez up front, sorted. Gary, Dublin.
Who would buy Salah?
If only it were that easy, boys.
Yeah.
Who would buy Salah actually, and for the price?
PSG.
PSG, yeah. He'd only get 750 grand a day over there. Where would he go?
Just a little bit more than when you were playing, Lara.
Oh yeah, of course. There's 4 decimal points in it when I was playing, John.
Yeah. 53106, people will say the pressure got to Arsenal, but they've scored 7 goals in the last 3 games. The problem is Saliba's injury came at the worst possible moments, as Garrett. Well, they have conceded 7 as well, Garrett. 53106, lads, don't even know what to say after last night. Expect to be a night when we close the gap on goal difference to Man City. Players look very nervy. Surely, if we've any hope at all, Wednesday night holding needs to be dropped. Not at the level at all. Fairly deflated, but never thought we'd win the league all the same. Think we'll be doing well to make the top 4 next season, says Mick the Gooner in Cork. A bit of realism from him. 53106, you want to get in touch on Football Saturday here with Lara, Johnny Ward and Dan McDonnell in the studio with me. Graham Gartland's with us as well later on. In the Premier League, Fulham 2, Leeds 1 a result. Goalless between Brentford and Villa, Palace and Everton, and Liverpool and Nottingham Forest. It is Leicester 0, Wolves 1. In the Championship, where we have goals, Bristol City 1, Rotherham 0, Cardiff 1, Stoke 1, Hull 1, Watford 0, Norwich 0, Swansea 1, and Wigan 1, Millwall 1. Just to give you some scores as well from Will Smallbone set up a goal for Stoke, and Will Keane has scored for Wigan.
A lot of Irish scores of late in the Championship.
Midweek there was quite a few.
Yeah, Georgie Kelly.
Tom Cannon at Preston is the one. I don't know, Laura, have you seen much of Tom Cannon at Preston? But he's scoring a lot. I don't know what your sense is.
By the way, scoring good goals as well, but very, very kind of composed in the goals that he scored. And every time he's got a chance at the moment, he just keeps scoring. But we've blown it as far as the playoffs are concerned. We needed to win at Millwall and obviously do something against Swansea the other night. But yeah, he's done. He's done fab, in fairness.
Dublin have edged in front against Antrim, 118 to 117, and the hurling in Leinster.
Galway Wexford later on, JD.
Oh yeah, well you'll still be here hopefully.
Hopefully the weather's better than here in Galway.
Sligo 1-7, New York 3 points in the Connacht Football Championship. At the Joe McDonagh Cup, Carlow 6 points, Laois 9, and Offaly 7, down 1-4. In the Women's Six Nations, England 27, Ireland 0. And in the Women's Premier Division, Galway United 2, Sligo Rovers 0. Leinster trailed the Bulls in South Africa in the Rugby by 17 points to 0. Off the Ball Saturday on News Talk is back after this.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Sky. Watch Bournemouth versus West Ham this Sunday. Live only on Premier Sports.
This is News Talk. Future Proof.
As we get older, our memory starts to falter. That's the usual story anyway. But new research has shown that even 3 seconds after an event, your memories start making mistakes. The implications could be enormous.
Future Proof.
Proudly supported by Science Foundation Ireland.
Memory Games on Future Proof with me, Jonathan McRae, this Sunday at 10
on News Talk.
Book an adventure this April with Go Breaks and explore Ireland's best loved destinations. From the natural beauty of Kerry and Donegal to the buzz of a city break in Cork, Galway or Limerick. Find the perfect hotel from just €105 per night for 2 people sharing. Or discover our sunny new European hotel deals. From Milan to Malaga, Lanzarote to Lisbon. Go experience, go explore with Go Breaks, as recommended by News Talk. Go Breaks. T's and C's at gobreaks.ie.
InsureMyVan.ie. Hi, I'm Ken Doherty. For all van drivers and business owners, InsureMyVan.ie is Ireland's low-cost van and commercial insurance specialist. For high-quality van and all commercial insurances, call InsureMyVan.ie.
City Financial Marketing Group Limited, trading as InsureMyVan.ie, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
No, love. I've got a headache.
My back hurts.
Not tonight. I'm tired.
It's amazing the excuses people will come up with to avoid intimacy.
I ate too much.
Oh, no. It's a weekday.
Research shows that 58% of Irish men avoid sexual activity because of erectile dysfunction. So take action. Ask your pharmacist if Viagra Connect is suitable for you. You won't need a prescription. Brought to you by Viatris, Newnham Court, Malahide Road, Northern Cross, Dublin 17. Viagra Connect helps you get and keep an erection. Contains sildenafil for men over 18. Maximum dosage 150mg tablet a day. Always read the label. See viagraconnect.ie.
You're at the counter in your local shop. Birthday card in one hand, a pack of those teeny tiny candles in the other. Now for a present. Only to look up and see the display of scratch cards. Talk about the best present ever if they win big. Birthday or no birthday, with millions in cash prizes to be won instantly, next time you're in store, ask for any all-cash scratch card. The National Lottery. It could be them. Gift responsibly.
What problem does your business solve? How are you going to get customers to know about it? Can you protect your idea? Investors are ready. Are you? The Intertrade Ireland Seed Corn Investor Readiness Competition has real-world experts who will help you get your new business startup investor ready. Plus, you could win a share of the €300,000 prize fund. Apply today at intertradeIreland.com/seedcorn. Competition closes 1 p.m. on Friday, 28th of April.
I'm Louise Cooney and I'm here to tell you about the new season of my podcast Open Book, which is out now. This season on Open Book, we're all about honest chats, life lessons and what success really looks like. Sharing experiences like persevering through grief and recognising that it's time to leave your dream job, all to help inspire you to live your best life. I've got a great lineup of interviews that I'm excited to share with you. New episodes of Open Book come out every Wednesday, and if that's not enough, you can also check out the bonus on Mondays. Listen first on the Go Loud app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Sky. Don't miss Newcastle versus Spurs on Super Sunday. Live only on Sky Sports.
This is News Talk.
And you're welcome back to Off the Ball Saturday here on News Talk. John Duggan with you through to 5. This is Football Saturday. Remember, Football and Off the Ball brought to you by Sky. Watch every live Premier League game this season on Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sports. You can text us 53106, tweet us at Off the Ball. We're streaming the conversation as well. You can listen on News Talk, watch us on the digital and social channels as well, on Twitter, YouTube and Facebook. We also podcast the show on the Off the Ball section of the Go Loud network, so it's also available wherever you get your pods. If you ever missed the live broadcast here on News Talk, joined on the line by Laro, the former European Cup winner with Liverpool, and League of Ireland, that's Graham Gartland. Laro didn't win. He won 5 leagues. We didn't win the League of Ireland. Dan McDonnell of the Irish Independent is in studio as well, and the broadcaster and journalist Johnny Ward with us. Liverpool 0, Forest 0 in the Premier League. Leicester have equalised 1-1 now against Wolves. I always say these are subject to VAR as they come in, but Kelechi Iheanacho scored a penalty, so we know that is definitely confirmed. 1-1. Palace 0, Everton 0, Brentford 0, Aston Villa 0. Cup semi-finals this weekend. We got Brighton, Man U tomorrow. We have Sheffield United, Man City.
Dan, man shouldn't be here, of course, JD. His big trip to watch the game foiled by Evan Ferguson.
Well, I was going tomorrow morning, Johnny, so I was always going to be here.
Okay, sorry, yeah.
Don't all just turn one trip into a 4-day holiday. Unlike yourself and your 5-star hotels, I was just going to go over and back.
What about the lads who flew from Galway from Dublin to Kerry for the game last night?
Yeah, no,
we
fans. Just discuss that later maybe. But yeah, well, I mean, De Zerbi was saying yesterday that Evan Ferguson maybe isn't 100% out, but I don't know, is that just game playing? I bloody hope
playing with Dan's mind.
Bloody hope it is. Anyway, no, the vibes weren't good earlier in the week with Evan Ferguson. It's a shame, because Manchester United are.
It's Wembley, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Wembley. He's 18.
They play the league very soon, don't they?
Yeah, they play in the league. I think May the 4th, week after next. But and they're obviously down a few bodies defensively. And not great defensively during the week, so it would have been a great opportunity for Evan Ferguson. But I mean, hopefully they get the job done and they get an FA Cup final date, which would be brilliant, because his injury isn't
that bad,
season ending or anything like that. In fact, I mean, look, even if they're not ruling him out definitively, you suspect they're not going to rush him. But he's clearly not a million miles away, certainly, even if he has to miss this one. So, yeah, I mean, the Man City Sheffield United one, it's weird because you would think it's a huge game for Sheffield United, but they're trying to get over the line to get promoted. Things have gone okay for them the last week or two.
Yeah, the win during the week.
That was a big win, but I mean, for them, it's really, it's about getting back to the Premier League. Yeah.
Is Enda Stevens?
He's been injured.
It's funny, Enda Stevens, Shane Duffy just kind of gone out of the conversation, the limelight, haven't they?
Yeah, Enda Stevens has been injured. Yeah, he got back for a brief period of time and he's been injured. Egan's been, if not ever present, like he's a fixture, and but they were looking very good for promotion. Then they had the rocky patch, and they've just probably done enough in recent weeks. Middlesbrough dropped off a little bit, that they should be fine. But it's a weird one. You would think for them, like, this is a bit of an afterthought. I'm not expecting much out of this game this evening, but I think tomorrow's one could be good.
Yeah. Laura, did you enjoy going to the old Wembley?
Did what, John?
Did you enjoy going to the old Wembley?
Yeah. It was one of those things you've always wanted to do. Obviously, as a kid, wanted to play in finals at Wembley. But I think I was just trying to think the other day. Someone asked me the same kind of question. I think I played in about 10 different games at Wembley, including a couple, obviously for Ireland. But played in lots of finals.
What were your Irish experiences there, Laura? Actually,
did what?
What were your Irish experiences at Wembley like?
They were good. Well, we had a decent side, didn't we? But I think Keegan beat us one night.
Were you marking him?
Serves me right. And in one of the games, didn't Jerry Payton get taken off, the keeper, or something like that? But we had close games against them. I remember obviously at Lansdowne when I think me and O'Leary were playing together, we would have been probably arguably the youngest centre-back partnership they've ever had, and we kept them down to 1-1. But I tackled him, Keegan, in the penalty area, and in all honesty, it would have been a foul, but the grass was so long, I think the referee gave me the benefit of the doubt. Remember those days when the grass would be over your boots and everything? It's mad.
What sort of guy was Keegan, actually? Is Keegan?
Nice fella. Keeps himself to himself. He won't have thousands and thousands of friends. He's just a proper nice fella. I mean, I worked for him at Newcastle and stuff. So, nice man. And it was really funny with Kevin, because my stepfather was on the board at Preston when Kevin was at Scunthorpe, and he was coming to Preston for, I think it was 30 grand, and Shankly came in. Shankly had said to Scunthorpe all along, if somebody comes in to buy him, will you just let me know? And I think they offered 35, and obviously he went straight to Liverpool. But when he got to Liverpool, they thought, well, maybe 18 months in the reserves as it used to be. But he was so impressive in pre-season, they stuck him straight in the team, and he just absolutely clicked. He was an outstanding player, but he wasn't quite as skillful as Kenny Dalglish, and obviously Kenny replaced him. But everyone thought, we're going to ever replace Kevin Keegan, but Kenny did it. But Kevin worked unbelievably hard on his game, and obviously he bore the fruits of his labour later on.
Yeah, 10 times. I wouldn't have thought it was that much, Lara. I suppose there's a few League Cup finals in there as well as FA Cup final. The FA Cup final is 86,
Yeah, 3 or 4. So I think the nice thing about it is when you don't lose. I think we drew maybe 1 or 2. We replayed against Everton, didn't we? So that was a good thing about it. But the best thing, John, honestly, really, was when we played Everton in the Old Merseyside FA Cup final. And obviously we were hopeless for the first 60 minutes, and we turned it round. And we did that whole thing. You get the cup, go around with a trophy, all those kind of things. And it was the old Wembley then. And they had just this one massive big bath, you know, for everything after the game that you jump in. And we got into the dressing room. We were drinking out the cup, champagne, all those kind of things. And I think Joe Fagan would have said, "Come on, lads, like, let's get sorted." And we're going to the Mountbatten Hotel in London for obviously a posh dinner and all that kind of stuff. We went to get in the bath. 3 of our supporters were stood in the bath, all suited. And we knew them all. But the fact is, I mean, they were all good lads. But the fact is, they'd actually not only they got in the game, they'd actually got into the dressing room and were there with the shirts and ties on, absolutely soaking. Come on, boys, it's great. I mean, typical Scousers. It was brilliant.
Yeah. What about Man United? That was an absolute horror show on Thursday on a footballing perspective in Seville, Laro.
Yeah. They're all over the place, weren't they? It happens, but I didn't think it would happen then, especially after the fact they were 2-0 up in the first leg and Seville scored really, really late. I think if that's anything like a wake-up call, it would have been one. And they've just started to drop off a little bit, haven't they? So
their games as well, Lauro, they actually have a tricky run of games. I do wonder now how their season's going to end up.
Yeah, I do. They need Rashford back, fully fit, scoring, obviously. Look, I would expect they pick up fairly soon, but Casemiro looks a little bit short of kind of fitness as well at the moment, and he's a big player for them. It might just be that, you know, they come the end of the season and they're struggling in terms of physicality.
The thing as well, like I mentioned this on OTB AM yesterday morning, JD, like it's such a never-ending carousel of football. It's so difficult to maintain.
Our robots.
Arsenal have probably, you know, Arsenal had a lot of close shaves with late winners, but like I just felt like I have to admit, I still actually haven't seen the goal, but I feel like I have the opening goal, and I feel so sorry for Harry Maguire, because all of the papers had him on the back, as if everything was down to Harry Maguire. When he got, I don't know, I mean, Laura, he obviously got the ball in a situation, the ball wasn't played particularly, it wasn't a particularly strong pass from De Gea, but it's like Harry Maguire is just the easiest like target for the media, social media, national media, and I was just like, give the lad a break. Like, I mean, it's not fair. They were 2-0 up in the first leg. They conceded 2 subsequent goals. De Gea had a bad night, and it's all about Harry Maguire. I mean, I feel sorry for him.
I'm with you. You know what? The best thing for him is to move. Fresh start.
Yeah. He hasn't been that bad for England, has he?
No, he's been decent for England, in all honesty. But I mean, they're good defensively anyway, England generally. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. The slightest thing, and they're all on his back. And you know what it'll be like. Go to another team and play really well, and then they say, "Oh, why did you ever leave Man United?" But that's just the way of the world, isn't it?
And like the fans have really bought into it too. That this is the thing. Like you know the reaction to him playing at times. Must be a grim sort of. I know people will say, "Oh, you know, they're paid X amount and whatever."
Doesn't matter, yeah.
Like it's still. You know, it's still a difficult thing for him probably to absorb. And I mean, yeah, like the other night, I mean, look, it's clearly, you know, it's an awful goal to concede, but it's probably even a communication thing with it as well too, in terms of you know, where's the shout to, you know, to whatever, you know, you could let the ball go past them and take it out, you know, just. You know, clearly there's always a desire for a scapegoat, but you would think a team that's really purring and really humming along, you know, all the parts are communicating well with each other and they don't concede those type of goals. So
yeah. Well, also, I mean, I bet Ten Hag straight away was thinking first away game of the season at Brentford, was he not?
Yeah.
Big challenge for him, JD. As I mentioned, like they have very tricky games, and if they, whatever about Arsenal, like
they're lucky they have Tottenham.
Are Tottenham going to be
a disaster behind them? Maybe it might be that you have Villa and Brighton closing the gap, but
I think Villa are actually top of the table since since the managerial switch, which is incredible. At that time, if you actually started the league, Villa, that's how the post-Gerrard era has been. But you wouldn't fancy them to beat Villa. They're playing Brighton as well. You wouldn't fancy them to beat Brighton. Maybe Spurs will be the one, but that would if Man United don't make the top four, that would be blowing it. Like, because they've been in it. Arsenal. It's not blowing it with Arsenal, because Arsenal had to keep winning because City are just, their points tally is so high. Like, if Arsenal finish second, there's no shame in that. But Man United have gotten into a position where they really have to finish in the first four, because everyone else has been so. Chelsea and Liverpool have been so poor. Like, Man United should. Like, it would be a mess if they didn't finish top four, and it'll be interesting.
Well, there's also the whole wider macro context about Manchester City. The fact that they're owned by a nation state. There's financial fair play allegations about them. They can buy whoever they want. It's not really a normal situation that we're in. Ryan Manning with an assist for Swansea, 2-0 up on Norwich. Both teams down to 10 players. You got to give Laro, Emery and De Zerbi a lot of credit, haven't you, for the way they've been managing their teams, Villa and Brighton, in terms of the Premier League and showing how it's done. If you look at Chelsea, it's an absolute disaster.
Yeah. Well, Chelsea's just, it's absolutely laughable. I mean, all the players they've bought, and we've talked about this every time that I'm on, is centre forward. I mean, most important position in the team. Look at Ireland at Man City, most important position, and basically you'd argue they haven't really got one whatsoever. And I don't. It's like the Americans got new toys and they're playing with these new toys and they actually don't have a clue what they're doing. But they will be definitely come back stronger next year. You would feel. So it remains to be seen. That's why I said before that I just think, this is the season really that Arsenal need to win it, because it's going to be so difficult from now on in. But I don't know about you chaps, but I mean, it's just been a strange season all along. Obviously with the World Cup as well involved in it. The relegation, which would be at the moment 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8 teams, you could argue, say, all be involved. And how many sackings are there? Is it 12, 13?
Well,
it's crazy. It's crazy high.
If I were to ask you, Laura, right, whose run of games is this as manager, right? This is his last 17 games. Lost 2-1, lost 2-0, lost 1-0, lost 2-0, lost 2-1, lost 3-1, lost 4-1, drew 1 all. Lost 2-1, lost 3-0, lost 4-1, lost 2-0, drew 0 all, won 3-0, lost 1-0, lost 2-0, lost 2-1, lost 2-0. He got the Chelsea job.
Yeah.
What was that about? Like, what is that about? Honestly,
that was a very strange piece of radio.
Yeah, but like, if you
it was, wasn't it?
What was so? Chelsea are in a position where they have a big winnable game in Europe, and they're going bad. But not. What was the logic of bringing Lampard back, even for a couple of weeks? I just don't get it.
It's just club legend stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it was the Dutchman that kept coming back.
Who's hitting?
Yeah. Well, has he finished then? Because you thought
he was brilliant.
Who's hitting? You thought he might have had a shout, wouldn't you? But
there's never a suggestion that Lampard has been a good manager ever. Like, there's nothing to suggest he's a good manager. Like, it's just absolutely. Like, where was I see no logic in this whatsoever. None. Literally zero. And they weren't even that bad the other night. They just don't have any confidence.
Raheem Sterling scored 31 goals in all competitions in 1927 this season. 300 grand a week, confident shot.
300 grand a week, yeah.
But it's just like, as Lara said, I think you gotta put the. I don't even blame Lampard. I blame the fact that the lads in charge don't seem to have a clue what they're doing. No. And if you're Pochettino going in there, you want to be careful. Like this, where do you begin to know what your first 11 is and how many players you got to get out of the club there?
Yeah, I can totally see the point. Although the flip side is, I mean, is it such a shambles at the moment that if you can come in and do any kind of competent job, you're going to look good. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to get a lot of when you have like
Frank Lampard's
you have a squad of I wouldn't say amazing players, some amazing players, like some brilliant players.
They're very good players.
Like, if someone went in there and turned Chelsea into a top 4 solid team next year, they get amazing credit because
they will do.
You think they will, Mark? Yeah,
I do. Somebody will go in and they will finish top 4. They got so much quality, and to say if you get a striker as well, I know sometimes it's a bigger. They absolutely, totally will. I mean, they'll have to have a bit of a fire sale at the end of the season with having so many players. And then someone's got to say to Bowley, or however you pronounce his surname, that you know what, you stay out of the dressing room. It's got nothing to do with you. If you have a problem, speak to the manager. And as soon as you have people like that coming into the dressing room, you just know, because players will look at them and just go, what the hell?
Yeah.
Here's one for you before you go as well, Laura.
Got a bit of minute here.
On Liverpool.
He's trying to get rid of me.
Do Liverpool... Well, you're gone. I mean, it's not nothing to do with me. You actually are gone. Do Liverpool cede the potential to finish in Europe, but not the Champions League? Do they kind of say as the season goes on, listen, lads, let's just finish out of the European places and refresh and reset next season?
I couldn't possibly comment, but yes.
That's,
on that note, on that brilliant note, Laura, thanks so much.
Pleasure. Cheers, chaps.
Mark Lawrenson, Republic of Ireland legend, 5-time league winner with Liverpool and European Cup winner as well. So it's not a bad resume that he has in the game. Graham Gartland is joining us after 4 o'clock to talk a bit more about the Irish situation. In the Premier League, half-time, Leicester 1, Wolves 1, Liverpool 0, Forest 0, Crystal Palace 0, Everton 0, Brentford 0, Aston Villa 0. Result, Fulham 2, Leeds 1 in the Championship. Half-times, Birmingham 0, Blackpool 0, Bristol City 1, Rotherham 0, Burnley 0, QPR 0, Cardiff 1, Stoke 1, Coventry 1, Reading 0, it's Hull 1, Watford 0, Norwich 0, Swansea 2 and Wigan 1, Millwall 1. We're back after the break. Dan McDonnell, Johnny Ward and Graham Gartland on Football Saturday here on News Talk. Don't go away, folks.
This weekend on News Talk, we're partnering with Make-A-Wish Ireland to celebrate Wish Week, starting on Monday the 24th of April. If you'd like to make a donation, visit makeawish.ie/donate. Remember, where there's a wish, there's hope.
De réir mar atá costais fuinne bheith ordú, tá in éisteacht in éifeacht túlacht fuinneamh de gnó ag airing níos ríhábhachtaí. Chur an scéim ísachta éifeacht túlacht fuinneamh SPCI muoinú salúbtha chostas íseal fáil. Chun cearú le fiúntar bheoga agus fanmhéide, feirmeoirí agus íscarí in éisteacht dhéanamh i drealamh atá tíosach inniuh. Ail teascadéal, panel réine, sailsiú LED agus pointí luchtathe de éachlí letarcha chun inmhúnachacht de gnó a ausú. Tá méideanna airgeadas ó 10,000 go dtí €150,000 fáil hermí asííochta ó fada le 10 mbliana ag ráta lascanathe. Áítar le muoinú in cheadathe ísachtaí terma, frilcheannach agus targaí airgeadas thocmhaní. Tá termí agus canílacha i bhaim. Fáid tuile eolais ag sbci.gov.ie nó glí ar a 189 8 car a 4 Is tionscanmh SPCI seo a bhfuil takeíocht ón giste órappach in éisteachta aige.
Dundeel Motors is home to Ireland's largest range of new and premium used cars from all of Ireland's trusted car dealerships. That's why you'll find Kia Liffey Valley on Dundeel. Visit the Kia Liffey Valley showroom on Dundeel to find your next car. Dundeel Motors for Ireland's largest range of new and used cars from all of Ireland's trusted car dealerships. Visit dundeel.ie today.
Keep your business connected with Air Mobile, Ireland's largest 5G network. Switch today and get an iPhone 14 for just €140 with no limits 5G data and unlimited calls and texts. For more, call our dedicated business team on 1800 207 407. Go in store or visit air.ie/business. Air. Let's make possible. Unlimited allowance subject to fair use. Available on selected plans for businesses with up to 9 employees. Pricing excludes VAT. For full terms, see air.ie/business.
With prices hotter than a hot wash and in your home faster than a high-speed spin cycle, well, almost. Every day is laundry day at appliancesdelivered.ie. So clean. Find a huge range of energy-saving washing machines and tumble dryers from Whirlpool, Hotpoint, Indeset and more to browse and buy today. If it's online, it's in stock. With next-day delivery guaranteed across Greater Dublin. Proud part of Expert Electrical. Appliancesdelivered.ie. Or visit our store on Main Street, Malahide. See it, buy it, get it tomorrow.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €5.5 million. Play responsibly, in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
There's never been a better time to buy VHI travel insurance for a range of benefits at home or abroad. For peace of mind when you travel, search VHI Multitrip. VHI Healthcare DAC, trading as VHI Healthcare, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland and is tied to Collinson Insurance Europe Limited for VHI Multi-Trip travel insurance.
Book an adventure this April with Go Breaks. Explore Ireland's best-loved destinations or discover our new European hotel deals at gobreaks.ie.
Go Breaks. Talking history.
This Sunday on Talking History, we're talking about witchcraft and murder as we explore William Shakespeare's Macbeth, and we'll be finding out why it continues to exert such a powerful hold on audiences and readers alike. And it's in part inspired by a new exhibition in Trinity College Dublin, which is showcasing Ireland's only copy of the first edition of the complete works of William Shakespeare on this, the 400th anniversary of its publication.
Talking History with Patrick Geoghegan.
This Sunday at 7 p.m.
on News Talk. On 106 to 108 FM. On the News Talk app, powered by Go Loud and smart speakers. This is News Talk.
It's 4 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Aidan Priestley. The Justice Minister says the resignation of a GSOC investigator is a serious matter. It comes as the officer allegedly attended a house party with Jerry Hutch on Monday. Hutch was found not guilty of the murder of David Byrne that day and walked free from the Special Criminal Court. Paul Healy, chief reporter with the Irish Daily Star, says the investigator's alleged attendance is a massive conflict of interest.
The central allegation is that this senior investigator with GSOC attended this party and was in the company of Gerard Hutch, and that subsequently then during the week he made an admission, or is alleged to have stated to a colleague that he had attended this party.
The government is being urged to take the threat of artificial intelligence to our democracy more seriously. Fine Gael Senator John McGahn is warning that the future Irish elections could be targeted by malicious actors if protections aren't put in place. The controversial rise of AI has most recently seen a German magazine release a fake interview with Formula One star Michael Schumacher, for which his family is suing. Senator McGahn says the Irish government needs to be more proactive.
So I really don't think we have a full grasp of what we need to do with AI. I think it needs to be strongly regulated. And I think we, as the European Union and governments around the world, really need to start acting very, very quickly.
People venturing outdoors are warned to be extra vigilant to fire. A status orange forest fire warning due to expire this evening has been extended until Tuesday. The advice is to call the emergency services as soon as you notice a fire and not intervene yourself. Pat Neville, communications manager with Quilcha, explains why the risk is so high even as the recent dry spell ends.
There's a little bit of rain today, but conditions over the last few days and for the next few days, and with dry, fine vegetation in the uplands, means that even a small fire can get out of control very, very quickly.
Irish graduates are in high demand in Canada, Australia and the UAE. That's the message from the event director of a careers exhibition taking place in Dublin today. Over 9,000 people have attended the conference in Croke Park so far today. Kevin Brannigan of Jobs Expo Dublin explains what's on offer.
We have three distinct elements. We have an exhibition hall of employers. We also put on a day of talks and seminars. And then our third part of it is we give people free career advice.
That's it for now. More at 5.
News Talk weather.
Thanks to Ryanair. Will Man U win the Europa League? See the final live with Ryanair's low-fare flights to Budapest.
Generally cloudy today with outbreaks of rain in Ulster, Connacht, North Leinster and North Munster, with heavy showers elsewhere, with highest temperatures of 9 to 12 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
And you're welcome back to Off the Ball Saturday here on News Talk. John Duggan with you until 5. Now, we teamed up with European Professional Club Rugby to give you the chance to win 2 tickets to next weekend's mouth-watering Heineken Champions Cup semi-final clash between Leinster and Toulouse at the Aviva Stadium. And all we asked you to do was to identify this mystery voice.
I wouldn't be mad emotional, if that makes sense to you.
And that was, of course, Leinster prop Tyke Furlong, the winner of the 2 tickets, Ed Twamley from Tullow in County Carlow. Congratulations to you, Ed. Enjoy the match. We're in touch with details on how you can collect your tickets during the week and check out the show tomorrow, folks, where you've got another chance to win tickets to see Leinster against Toulouse. This is Football Saturday. Just before we get into the conversation, in the Connacht football semi-final, Sligo 2-13, New York 6 points, Markievicz Park. Antrim 119, Dublin 119. So a draw in the round robin in Leinster hurling in Belfast. In the Joe McDonnell Cup round 3, Kerry 117, Kildare 14 points a result. It's Laois 14 points, Carlow 12 at the moment, and Offaly 14 points, down 1-7. England 34, Ireland 0 in the Women's Six Nations in Musgrave Park. The Vodacom Bulls 24, Leinster 0 in South Africa. And the Women's Champions League semi-final, Barcelona beat Chelsea 1-0 in their first leg in London. And in the Women's Premier Division, Galway United 2, Sligo Rovers 1 at Eamon DC Park. In the Premier League, Liverpool 0, Nottingham Forest 0. It is Leicester 1, Wolves 1, Palace 0, Everton 0, Brentford 0, Aston Villa 0. Earlier, Fulham beat Leeds by 2-1. In the Championship at the moment, Birmingham 0, Blackpool 0. It's Bristol City 1, Rotherham 0. Burnley 0, QPR 0, Cardiff 1, Stoke 1, Coventry 1, Reading 0. It is Hull 1, Watford 0, Norwich 0, Swansea 2, Norwich down to 10, Wigan 1, Millwall 1 is latest score. This is Football Saturday until 5. Remember, football and off the ball. Brought to you by Sky. Watch every live Premier League game this season on Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sports. Still in studio with us are the Irish Independents, Dan McDonnell and Johnny Ward. And also joining us now, the former League of Ireland and FAI Cup winner and current Shamrock Rovers under-15s coach, Graham Gartland. Graham, how's the form?
I'm good, JD. How are you?
You picked up a golf club there, Graham, we have in the studio, and you were telling us how you're getting the handicap down.
Oh, well, I'm trying. I haven't got enough time. I had a game a couple of weeks ago, shot well, and trying to get out now. Have a couple of games lined up in May, so get out. Have to keep the wife happy to allow me to go out and golf.
Are you play a bit of golf then, don't you?
I used to play a lot of golf, but I've played once since COVID. In fact, I went to the driving range once. That was it. So great plans to get back to it this year.
What about you, JD?
I'm no good at it. I don't believe in doing things in life you're not good at.
That's a very strict.
I do a lot of them.
I've seen you drink.
You keep trying, all right. Goal.
It is a goal for Liverpool, 1-0. They lead Nottingham Forest, and it's come off one of the Forest players and then into the path of Fabinho, and then into the path, I think it is of Jota, to score the opening goal there at Anfield. So we'll clarify that. Yeah, Diogo Jota heading it in there. So
it's like Frank Staple there, wasn't he?
He'd missed an earlier a close range opportunity, Jota. So he's I'd say that one was sore. So he's
good in the air, isn't he, Jota? He's tiny.
I think Liverpool actually missed him a lot this season when he wasn't fit.
Portuguese Diogo Jota got a couple against Leeds during the weekend, 1-0 against Forest now.
Yeah, it's Liverpool have kind of been playing maybe a little bit within themselves, but this battle at the bottom, JD, is...
They can't go away from home and do anything. You see, not in Forest, that's a problem for them. They got a bit of a chance at home, but on the road they struggle. How's the coaching going, Graham, then?
It's going really well. The lads are going away. The lads are going away with Ireland this weekend now. The under-15s, they're going to a tournament in Italy, so 7 of our 15 players will be going over to that. So I was actually talking to a fella from Ajax yesterday and just having a discussion, and he was asking about it, and I said, yeah, we've 7 out of 15, and he was, that's really good. And then the Dutch jargon sort of kicked in. He says, yeah, we've 11. I was like, all right, yeah. So they have Ajax will have 11, and so we've 7, which is really good, and we did a good victory last week. They're good, they're improving all the time and getting better, and there's some talent in it, and there's talent there in a lot of the younger age groups,
How do you deal with the Rovers players who are maybe borderline but don't get called up for that? So how do you deal with that in terms of management? To kind of say to the lads that, and I mean, it's most young kids want to get playing for their team that Saturday and they're happy enough, but players at that level, is there, because you want them to still have that harmony and kind of be backing each other?
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, the original group we had would be, they're under 16s now, and it caused a lot of unrest in the squad. Lads were going away, other lads were thinking I should be in it. It wasn't great. So when we got this group, myself and Pat Flynn, it was one of the things that we knew was coming. We were a little bit more aware of it, and we made an example of saying, right, well, you're all pushing each other to get to that level. So when these lads get called in, it's off the back of the work that we're doing as a group. So if it's a centre forward playing against a centre back, you're making him better, etc., etc. So we emphasise that you can only get called for Ireland if you're playing well for us. So make sure you're all playing well, and just keep. And then the lads.
It's never too late as well. Don't worry about this.
The examples we sort of use would be myself and Pat Flynn would be prime examples of it going completely. I was always in and out of Ireland squads from age of 14 to 21, where Flinny was under 14 captain all the way through to 19s. Everybody wanted Flinny. I get called up to have a senior international squad, or to get called up to go away and play for Ireland as a senior level. Flinney wasn't anywhere near it. So there's different ways of getting to a senior cap, which is the ultimate goal. It doesn't always have to be, you don't always have to be the best under 15 player in the country to make sure you do that. So we give them examples and saying, look, it can come at any different time once you are ready to put in the work. So this year, the last couple of seasons, because we touched on it early doors, I think it's been a lot better. It's difficult because 8 of them come in to train. So we try and mix the teams then. We'll play mixed games with some of the lads who are 16s that mightn't be playing much at the weekend. So we try and do that. But they've been great. Everybody's been pushing each other. It's been really good,
It's mad, you think
Nottingham Forest have equalised, a deflected effort. Liverpool won, Forest won at Anfield there. And
that's a bit of a dramatic turnaround. It's mad though, Seamus Coleman, I think, was only ever capped at 21s and senior level for Ireland, and 21s he came into it quite late in the day as well. And there are examples of that, players who've played senior level for Ireland, and homegrown players who never got cited at underage, and that's the thing, we're naturally going to get excited. I think that the under 17s Euros is coming up now. I know some ex-Rovers or some current Rovers lads involved with that, and we'll all probably get involved and start to plot where these players might be in a couple of years' time. But I think particularly in Ireland, it's often the late developers who go on to have some of the best careers, Yeah,
and they have a good attitude to stick at it all the way through. That's the thing, that they're willing to go through, and even the setbacks that they might get or the rejections that they get along the way helps them build that resilience, because I remember reading the thing about mental resilience is one of the biggest things you need as a young player coming into the game, is that stuff the amount of setbacks you get in football, it's ridiculous. They happen there could be a bad training session, but I was released twice before I turned 20.
Yeah.
And then you have to go and rebuild and go again. And when you say that to people, every job in football that I've ever had, I've probably not succeeded at to a certain extent. And then you just have to keep going, and that's where the players that do keep going will generally stay at it. They're gonna, it's ups and downs all the way. I remember playing against Seamus that year. There was 3 right backs in the league that were unbelievable. Heary, Brian Shelley and Seamus burst onto the scene.
2006, 2007 was it? Yeah.
I remember he ran back, and he said, he just called me something on the way back. And he said something on the way back, and I just went, all right, yeah. And I was thinking, good player, this fella, he has a bit about him.
Yeah, this is 18, 19-year-old.
Yeah, he was, he ran back, and he'd gone, but I tripped him or something, and as he was running back, he nudged me, and he said something, you're only it. And I went, yeah, I am, yeah.
Was he right?
Yeah, he was, yeah. And I just sort of went, yeah, he has a bit about him, and
you like that, actually, yeah.
I did, you like that about people, that you go, he's standing up for himself and his team, and I know, and you've seen it with the Harry Kane stuff, he'll back his team, and I like that about him early doors. And I remember thinking, attacking wise, he was ridiculously good at Sligo. So I think Brian Shelley got Player of the Year that year in 2007. Last defender to win it, I think.
Adam Murphy last night pulling Jack back and putting himself about at 18 years of age in the Pats midfield.
Yeah, I would have known Adam. Adam was at Belvedere. I remember speaking to his dad when he was about 12, and again, just one of those players we were trying to get, but Rovers weren't maybe in the position to do it. One of the reasons Pats went in with Belva was for that age group, was to try and recruit. I think they had 3 in it, and they went in and done the deal. Subsequently, I don't think it's there anymore. But he was always able to get around the pitch at him athletically. He's fantastic, but they're the things you learn in the game. You have to make fouls at times, certain times in the game. I actually thought he should have fouled for Trevor Clark's.
That's what Clancy said as much afterwards. It wasn't Murphy. It would have been
Mulroney.
McClelland was the one we were talking about. But Adam Murphy last week, even so, Adam Murphy, just for people, is he's an 18-year-old midfielder who played with St Pat's. Who last year he had the chance to go and train with Man City, but he did a hamstring. He did a bad hamstring injury.
You say train, what does that mean? Is that a trial almost? Or?
Well, yeah, I think he wouldn't have been able to sign because of his age, but go over and train with them because he can't actually sign until he turn 18 for an English club, but he can still go over and sort of spend some time there or whatever. So he's would have been regarded as and is regarded as one of the better prospects of his age, and he just basically had the guts of a year out with a hamstring problem, needed surgery. But
Jota has scored again, so Diogo Jota to Nottingham Forest 1 here at Anfield. It was Nico Williams, former Liverpool player, who equalised for Forest. The ball came off Andy Robertson, deflected into the net, but Jota's found a run of form here, and kind of free kick goes in.
Great run.
Maybe talk of offside, but no, it was a.
There'll be an offside shout, we'll see, potentially.
This is the problem with the Premier League. It doesn't have the slickness or the discretion of the European game when it comes to VAR. But anyway, so chested it down, Diogo Jota, and kind of turns it into the.
That was noticeable in the game the other night with the Liverpool or the Man United Seville game, wasn't it? With the offside decision that they got. Is that the one you were talking about?
I was talking generally that in Europe the VAR system seems to be much more discreet.
Yeah.
You seem to have a much slicker game. It doesn't kind of impact on the enjoyment as a fan, which the Premier League does, I have to say. So I don't know what's.
It's just, I think it's also the experience of the radio presenter who wants to call a goal but knows you could call it back in 30 seconds time.
That's what I'm trying. I'm still like
when you see them playing on, we're safe. So that goal did actually count.
Well, I think it was the lack of celebration that maybe caught me out there. Jota seemed a little bit subdued.
Yeah, and you think something must be up. But just to go back to Adam Murphy, so like he is a player who I think he could be talking about him a lot. He's a very good prospect. But last week against Bows, Bows got a goal, and Tim Clancy, who afterwards said Murphy's the best young player he's ever worked with anywhere, including as a player. And Tim would have played in Scotland, like Graham, would have had experienced. Spent time with some very good players over there. Said Murphy's the best he's worked with, but he should have fouled a Bows player who went through and set up a goal. So last night there was a great moment where Jack Byrne got away from Adam Murphy, and you could just see Adam Murphy with last week's lesson in mind just took the foul, like sprinted after Byrne,
literally pulled him back,
but took the yellow, and that is like learning the game. You take your yellow card and that's what you do. So
Shane Coleman was on to me during the week because I never met him before. He's doing a piece about
News Talk breakfast presenter. One of my colleagues every morning.
Doing a piece.
Are you not listening every morning?
The League of Ireland. I'm not.
He's probably on OTB AM or
racing.
Waking up in a 5-star hotel somewhere.
Sorry, like a complete
food
point.
Taking a picture of eggs somewhere.
Yeah.
That's what Johnny does
Eggs
in the morning.
Benedict.
Egg you in a minute. But what was that number again?
Shane Coleman.
Shane Coleman's doing a piece, but he was asking me like, why has the League of Ireland gotten so popular? And Shane's a fan as well. But one of the things for me is
fan.
Yeah, although he was a Dundalk fan, but now I think he's kind of, which was a very controversial League of Ireland circles.
Don't go down that road.
Just
say something different.
But one of the things for me is like,
I realise there's a sort of there's some kind of code. There's the Stonecutter code in the breakfast News Talk breakfast team or something. If you say anything about one of them, you're basically insulting all of them.
Yeah. The Ireland team that played France, 5 of that team had come through the League of Ireland in some shape or form. But last night I actually really did go to the game looking forward to seeing what Adam Murphy was like, because it was such a chat, and there was it's really nice to see that. I saw him play for 20 minutes on the box before he got injured, but like a lot of people have been raving about him, and there was. It's just lovely to see, like, okay, if he avoids injuries, he could be a very good player. But there was one moment where Neil Ferrugia, who's pound for pound one of the fastest players in the league, like he's lightning quick and really strong, tried to do him, and Murphy was having absolutely none of it. And it was like, for a player of his age to easily deal with Ferrugia like he did, and it was in the first half. I think he even won a free from it. Little moments like that, I was like, this lad is definitely has a bit about him, and a couple of lovely touches as well. And I know his dad was at the game last night, and must be almost part of you is watching and thinking, just don't get injured again because of the injuries he had. But like that thing of watching young players, Sam Curtis playing right back, who you think have a good chance of making it in the game, that's one of the reasons I think the League of Ireland is so intriguing at the moment.
Yeah, well, you think about it when you talk about, you played against Seamus Coleman, and there probably was that purple patch around that time where you would have had Seamus Coleman, James McLean a little bit later, but Kevin Doyle a little bit earlier maybe, and then Shane Long didn't really play, to be fair, but you would have had David Myler was knocking around for a time. There's a couple of others.
There was loads,
Keith Fahey, come back. Lads who went on and played for Ireland and in the Premier League, and there was probably a lot of them. And then probably in the last couple of years, we haven't had lads who've gone from the league to that. Gavin Bazuna would be one of the exceptions. But you do feel like, and Evan Ferguson's obviously now you're gonna, you can feasibly say that you'll probably go and watch players in the League of Ireland this year that will that have a chance of playing in the Premier League in the future.
But
and some of the ones coming in the next generation down, a lot of people raving about Mason Melia, for example, and Pats, and there'll be others as well that you sort of know. You're saying to people, you go back in time and you're saying, this lad might get a move to a club in League One, and that's maybe the case for the slightly older players, but with the teenagers, the sky is the limit for a lot of them.
But like you said, that a lot of the players that you mentioned, like Kevin Doyle obviously went from Pats to Cork, I think, up from Wexford. Pat Dolan had done that one, and he's the one that put the release clause in it that activated as soon as Pat left the club. Reading knew about that. So, like, Kevin's probably the one that came through like that. The rest of them were players that maybe went away and came back and then relaunched. Where I think this crop of players are the ones that have come through all the academy system that maybe Ruth Doctor put in place, and they made the clubs print structures to say, right, you need to train, you need to have better facilities, you need to come through at League of Ireland, you have a chance to go and play in the first team now. Because that, again, the biggest fear for a lot of players in my generation was when you got to 15 and 16 was, where do you go if you don't go away? Like it didn't
exist. Like, really.
It didn't exist, and it was hung over you, and you get worried about it. My age group in Stella Maris at the time, like Paddy McCarthy was the main centre back, obviously with Crystal Palace now, but unbelievable player. But we had 11 internationals in the team outfield, so one international used to be on the bench, a fantastic side, but then 7 of them just go to the UK that summer. I didn't. Me and a few others didn't go. And then you're thinking, right, I've to Christmas here to do something to see can I get away. And then I started looking at scholarships to America, what's going to come. But there was that cliff that you felt, what if I get to here? Now that's not there. And
it is mad. We don't think about essentially all the young players in this country are playing in Ireland now, give or take. Like the obviously likes of Gazefi and the odd example. But like it's almost like felt like it happened overnight. Like, how would you rate? Like, would you give it a B plus, a B minus? How would you rate the clubs in terms of how the National League underage structures has worked? Because they didn't, like, a lot of clubs had no history of doing any of this. Like, so I think I think in the short space of time, as much as it's not perfect, they seem to have done a pretty good job. All of this has to be paid for, and there's no prize money or no TV deal in the league.
Yeah. And you have to bust them up and down the country now, because you're not just playing in Dublin. All that stuff comes into it. You've women's teams now, 17s, 19s for teams. You have to bust them up and down the country. So there is a massive expenditure. There's a couple of things. I don't want to sit here and as a coach, you can sit and take credit for the good ones, or you can say, oh yeah, I coached him, but there's ones that don't come true. So it's always been about the player, has to be about the player. And no matter how good the coach is or how bad the coach is, the good players will generally find a way to come through. So it's about giving them the facilities and the time they need to produce. And that's what it's about, Johnny. Like, I could sit here and say, oh yeah, this is a coach and I'm qualified, but the player's not willing to do the work. It doesn't matter what I say or do. So that's where I feel it's about. If you build the facilities and get them more time on the pitch, they'll come through.
I'm just going to update you folks on the fact that Connacht are into the Connacht Football Championship final, and with that they're into the Sam Maguire Cup Series. Well done to them. 2-16 to 6-point win over New York today
Sligo
at Markievicz Park. Sligo, yes.
Yeah.
Did I say Sligo?
Connacht, he said Connacht. He said Connacht. We're into the Connacht.
Okay, well,
Connacht Rugby. I thought the Connacht rugby team had suddenly entered.
Yeah. So I apologise to listeners there. Sometimes you make a mistake.
Only one team in Connacht. That's Galway United. JD, obviously 10 from 10.
Here we go.
Kerry 4 points, Tipperary 1 point at Fitzgerald Stadium in Munster in that semi-final. The All-Ireland champions back in the loop today. Antrim 119, Dublin 119, a draw in Leinster in the round robin there at Corrigan Park in Belfast. Galway and Wexford throw in 9 minutes time, and late changes. Lee Chin out for Wexford, replaced by Charlie McGuckian. Cathal Mannion in for Keenan Fahy for Galway. In the John McDonnell Cup, Kerry beat Kildare 117 to 14 points at Hawkfield. Carlow 20 points, Laois 118, a latest score at Nawatch Cullen Park, a 1 point lead for Laois. It's Offaly 119 down 112 at O'Connor Park in Tullamore. Not the best news from the Women's Six Nations. Going to be a fourth defeat for Ireland. It's actually just gone full time. 48 points to 0, beaten by England at Musgrave Park today. Scotland play Italy at 4:45. The Bulls lead Leinster 55-7 in the URC in South Africa. In the Women's Champions League semi, Barcelona 1, Chelsea 0. A result. Galway United beat Sligo 2-1 at Eamon DC Park in the Women's Premier Division. In the Premier League, Liverpool 2, Nottingham Forest 1, both goals from Diogo Jota.
Jota's been an absolute star here, just very close to getting a hat-trick, JD, in the space of about 20 minutes or so. This is just brilliant movement as well, and Liverpool have missed him a lot, to be fair.
Leicester 1, Wolves 1, Crystal Palace 0, Everton 0, Brentford 0, Aston Villa 0. Talk about Paddy McCarthy, he's like right up there now with Roy Hodgson's backroom team at Palace.
Yeah, no, he was caretaker manager there for a time, because I was doing something last week on Irish managers, because Noel Hunt is at Reading now, and there's 7 Irishmen who've managed Premier League games, and Paddy McCarthy actually is one of them. No, I don't. Do you know the other 6? And this is Republic of Ireland. I'm not getting political. I would like to include Brendan Rodgers,
7 Republic
and Martin O'Neill, David O'Leary. Yeah,
7 of Republic of Ireland.
Joe Kinnear. See, that's the tough one.
Roy Keane.
That's the tough one. Roy Keane.
So how many have we given? We given 4 now.
4.
How many have we got? 4.
We got 4.
Who did you conclude? Martin O'Neill?
Nick McCarthy.
No, I didn't. Nick McCarthy. Yeah,
he counts. Yeah, so it's not Republic of Ireland born. It's like just.
Oh right, sorry.
Okay.
David O'Leary is the first you mentioned. Now I need to remember the other 2 now. I know. I remember one of them, and the other one is should be quite obvious. But anyway, Chris Hughton. Yeah, and we'll figure out the other one now in due course. We'll sketch them. Have you mentioned Roy Keane?
I did.
Yeah, we have mentioned Roy Keane. There's
That's
7
like
anyway.
the 7 Irish men who played for
Republic of Ireland.
No, there was 7 Irish players in the 12 who played for Arsenal in the 1980 FA Cup final.
Wow. Pat Jennings.
Yeah.
John Devine is one of the tougher ones.
That's a tougher one.
Yeah.
Liam Brady.
Yeah.
Frank Stapleton.
Yeah.
David O'Leary.
Yeah.
That's 5, is it?
Pat Rice. Sammy Nelson.
Yeah.
Sammy Nelson, wasn't
Yeah, so that's it's on the cuff trivia on a live radio show. It's like the crappy quiz, isn't it? Almost.
The amount of Arsenal fans that came out of the fact that in Ireland.
Well, that's it, isn't it?
It was
How'd
funny.
you become a fan? I became a fan because my sister met her future husband, who's a Spurs fan, and he bribed me over a game of snooker. So that's how. I became a Spurs fan.
He bribed you over.
Well, kind of like in that if I win a game of snooker, I was 8, I'd get 5 punts. If I lose, I support Spurs.
You were 8 years of age?
Yeah.
What age was he?
That was a double loss for you, JD.
What age was... I mean, that's a lot on
Yeah, my sister's 18 years older, yeah.
That was a lot on an 8-year-old.
Yeah, it was at the time.
8-year-olds did.
How did you become a Liverpool fan?
My brother. But my brother became a Liverpool fan because he had a massive Irish connection at that time. So it was like Ray Houghton, Steve Staunton, John Aldridge.
That was it.
Was there maybe more? I think it was after Lawro's time, but yeah, he just liked him.
Steve Staunton.
I mentioned Staunton.
Beglan.
But yeah, so then I just followed by the city.
I was the same.
Yeah.
My brother just walked in one day and says, we support Liverpool. I went, okay.
Yeah.
But you were basically about a Spurs goal for Forest, 2-2. Almost an old school Irish goal there.
Morgan Gibbs White.
A long throw, sort of like Russia 88, sort of headed into the air, and
not good for Liverpool.
Not quite an acrobatic volley in the Bonnie Whelan style.
Do Liverpool want the season to play out in the league?
I know what you kind of said earlier on.
Do they want to be in the Europa League? I really
nobody wants to be in the Europa League.
I just find that really disrespectful.
No, but
Liverpool in the Europa League.
Yeah, but
no, it is. But Liverpool needs to reset a bit.
Like.
I agree with you, but Liverpool probably do need to reset a bit, like, and actually have an easier schedule like Arsenal this season.
But Liverpool won nothing for a long period of time, and now they're willing to just write off a trophy. I don't need to be in that one. No, they were happy enough to be Alaves in the old UEFA Cup.
It's probably more us that are being disrespectful than Liverpool.
I think they need to use it to put their players that need more game time in.
Well, great header.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah.
Gibbs White with a
bit of a deflection at the actually.
Trent's positioning doesn't help here. He's
came off Trent and into the corner. Yeah.
Was it? Yeah,
off Robertson and the first one, and then Trent for the second one. Morgan Gibbs White. Nottingham Forest, are they going to stay up with Leeds losing earlier today, with Leicester drawing at the moment, with Southampton only drawing after being 3-1 up against Arsenal last night? It's now Liverpool 2, Nottingham Forest 2 after 68 minutes of that match in the Premier League. You talk about the coaching there in Shamrock Rovers, Graham. I'm interested. Like, is it easy? Do you have a lot to do with dealing with parents? Is that a big part of your week?
It can be. I tend to have a meeting at the start of the season and
the ground rules,
yeah, and this is what we're looking for, and this is the schedule, and the schedule changes, and if we have an issue, we'll speak to you rather than the other way around, because otherwise it can be a free for all. So it's more just sitting on, like, agreeing on the terms and conditions before you really start, and, like, again, there tends to be not really issues, more just if they can make it, if they're not well, they're sick. We have a lot of lads travelling. We've a lad from Tipperary, a lad from Wexford, a lad from Longford, and another lad from Waterford. So it's just the logistics around that would be the main issue with my group. Everything else seems to run as well as can be. But yeah, it's just setting out that type of them parameters around. This is what's expected and how you carry yourself, like a code of conduct for them, and that's what it's about. But like we've a really good group, really lucky, and the parents all buy into what we're trying to do. But it's interesting you're talking about centre backs and defending and coaching, and a lot of that has changed from when I would have played. Like, you know, like the old fashioned way of dropping out to the edge of the box before to receive it. Like, we would have learned a different way growing up.
What you make of Harry Maguire's one during the week? Did you see the?
Yeah, I did. We were just talking about it before we came on. It's just a lack of awareness from him. Like, you can tell he's sort of shown for the ball. Done a goal.
3-2 Liverpool.
Mo Salah.
Yeah.
Another set piece goal for Liverpool.
Yeah.
This is a crazy game. Liverpool 3, Forest 2, 69 minutes on the watch, and it's Mo Salah.
But anyway, Maguire, you were saying.
Yeah, the evolution of playing out from the back has been strange, because I've in my career, when I started playing, you had the pass back rule, which I started as a kid. That changed a lot. But how we would have started playing out would have been one centre back went to the edge of the box and the other one went 20 yards further up on the inside the pitch, and the two full backs dropped. And then it became drop out to the edge of the box together, either side, and then it became where I think the new rule of the lads collecting the ball in the box has encouraged a lot more teams to play out. That I didn't realise that would have as big an effect as it had, and it has. We're talking about midfielders dropping back in. Those midfielders that have their awareness is a lot higher to play midfield from an early age, so they're able to take the ball under pressure a lot more. And a lot of them you see with teams especially who would be a lot more dominant, you can afford to play midfielders at the back. The issue you have is when they have to defend, and are they willing to defend, and can they sense danger. I end up playing at the back very early because of that ability to sense, right, there's something's gonna bit of a. I remember Ron O'Gara was talking about on this show, like sometimes being a worrier is a good thing, like, you know.
Yeah.
So I would always worry about, right, we're 2-0 up here, but if they get a goal, even though you'd be cruising or the game would be dead, I'd be like, no, stay there, like, don't move. Oh no, I win. No, just stay, don't move. Like, we're going to see this out. If we win 2-0, right, we'd go with that. And sometimes I think defenders at times need to have that element of, like, let's not risk anything no matter what. Yeah. And I see that when you see the likes of, sometimes Trent doesn't have that. He's adventurous in what he's trying to do, but Maguire is just, to me, I've always thought Maguire lacks awareness for even sensing danger at times as a defender. Yeah. And I think he lacks awareness, especially when he goes into that position to receive the ball. They're all saying De Gea should have given it to him, but he's only seen to his left. He hasn't looked over his shoulder and seen the pressure coming before he's received the ball. And if you're not going to have them looks, don't bother asking for it to me. Yeah. If I don't know what's coming and it's a straight pass, I generally go straight back with that one. I go straight back to my goalkeeper and
get rid.
Yeah, and then he can kick it, and I tell him, you need more information on the pass there.
That was Mo Salah's 16th goal of the Premier League season. It was a driven shot from the 6-yard box after a floated ball from Trent Alexander-Arnold from a free kick. So Liverpool 3, Nottingham Forest 2. A great game. Diogo Jota, well, in terms of goals, Diogo Jota with 2. Ivan Toney with his 19th Premier League goal this season has given Brentford a 1-0 lead over Aston Villa. It's Palace 0, Everton 0, and Leicester 1, Wolves 1 in the Premier League. In the Championship, Birmingham 0, Blackpool 0 is the latest. Bristol City 1, Rotherham 1. It is Burnley 0, QPR 1, Cardiff 1, Stoke 1, Coventry 2, Reading 1, Hull 1, Watford 0, Norwich 0, Swansea 3 now, Wigan 1, Millwall 1 in the Championship. So that's what's going on there.
But I do feel, Dan, I don't know what you think, I do feel, and I hear it with coaches with, even in the UK or in Europe, they look at players here sometimes and say, oh, well, he can't defend. Oh, well, we teach him to defend. Oh, we'll teach him to defend when he's full time, or he can't play out. Oh, no, we'll put that into him when we get him. And it can be a bit disrespectful to the coaches, because you're like, if anyone could teach a centre back how to head and clear the ball, I'm pretty sure it'd be myself or Pat Flynn.
Yeah.
So
are you going to learn that at 18?
Exactly, like, and
but or 16 in the old school.
Yeah, like we go to a tournament every year. Under 12s go to a tournament in France, and it's an 8-a-side tournament, so it can be a bit different because we don't play 8-a-side. And there's one team over there in France that play ultimate defensive football. They play 3-3-1, and like they defend. And the conversation that was had with them was, why do you do that? And they go, well, we produce defenders in our academy. So they go. The sole purpose is just produce defenders, and they sold defenders for big money, like, when that's their remit. And that's sometimes when you see Shamrock Rovers in their youth academy, or you see, you know, are you producing defenders? Sometimes they're not having to defend that much.
Yeah.
I remember having a conversation, again, I'm throwing names out to beat the band. Michael Beale would have done a coaching conference I was at, and obviously I met him in Scotland, and he was talking about Klopp, and when Klopp first went into Liverpool and all the academy teams were having so much possession, and Klopp was a bit like, you need to do more, you need to make the game more chaotic at a younger age. And he was like, well, other teams give you the ball because you're Liverpool. And he goes, yeah, but if they're giving you the ball, why don't you just try more things if you're going to get it back in anyway? But it's hard to produce defenders then, because they have so much of the ball and they're not being asked to defend that often. So sometimes defenders come out of the fact that they might be at teams that have to defend a lot more than necessarily the top teams.
So they have to learn, like learning adversity, isn't it?
Yeah.
'Cause I remember speaking with someone in Kerry when down there at their first game, and they were actually saying in the League of Ireland underage that they're struggling badly at under 14 because they're getting a lot of guys from clubs who are the best players and are used to winning, and they're just not used to, and they're getting better at 16, 17 because they've had a couple of years, but at 14 a lot of them are like probably like almost like flat track bullies, if you know what I mean, and they haven't been challenged. And I suppose that's part of the thing now, that you see these League of Ireland teams sometimes, you know, the underage winning by big scorelines, and it's great, but that could actually pose them problems in time when they get exposed to suddenly, oh, hang on, this is a different type of test here for you. Yeah.
And it's important that's why even sometimes when I see Ireland go away or underage 14s and 15s, it's important you give that bravery to say to them, right, we're going to go toe to toe with teams. Because there can't be this fear factor around that anymore, because that carries through all the way to senior level. Yeah. We're going to go toe-to-toe with teams, and if it's a 3-2 in their favour, so what? At least we had a go. So you go, we were unlucky to lose that, but we done it in a good way. We didn't just go into a low block and defend. We went toe-to-toe with them and expose your defenders to 1v1s against top European players and see what they can they sink or swim.
It was funny last night, JD, at half time. 2 kids teams were out on the pitch. I apologise, maybe I was
don't guess if you don't know.
Actually told.
Don't guess if you don't know.
Yeah, but they were literally. There was one. Like I was watching for a minute. The goalie would just pass it to his right back, who would literally try to pass it at all costs back to the goalie, and if he couldn't just flick it like around his man, they were literally trying to pass it out from the back as an absolute, you must do this. And I was like, if they're being coached at that age, at that level to do that, it's very interesting, because when I was 14 we certainly weren't told to do that.
You have to. At underage level, you're not allowed to kick the ball out of the hands as a goalkeeper anymore, and there's a retreat line, so you have to play out. That's
what
the rule. So and then the kids get clever, because like the kids don't touch it. They leave the ball, run. They won't touch it, and they'll say to the other player, "You can't come in until I touch the ball." So they're getting clever with it. Like kids will, like footballers in general. If you put on a session where you say you can only score by doing certain things,
they'll work it out.
They'll always work it out. Like it's the same with my young fella plays football and rugby, and he knows that if he's forced into when there's a breakdown in rugby, if he's forced in, he has to pass. So he'll push another player in. He goes, in you go, so they have to pass to him so he can run with the ball. They'll work it out. Like it's the same with footballers. You put on a session and they'll make an idiot of you. Like so, but that's the rule with the kids now. But again, it's just giving them. I think we need to get rid of that inferiority complex at a young age, that we can go toe to toe with anybody. Like and if we can bring that into the underage national sides as well. I was talking to Collie O'Brien, he was at the game last week, and he believes that. He's like, why not have a go at these teams? And I think that's where you'll see that in the European Championships, hopefully.
Owen Coyle was the manager we were missing, according to our producer, Aidan Delaney, who knows his football.
Off the bar at Anfield.
Forest are 3-2 down, but they've just hit the woodwork there, so really entertaining stuff at Anfield. We're keeping you right up to speed in that. Kerry on the conveyor belt, the All-Ireland champions, 10 points, Tipperary 2. After 34 minutes at Fitzgerald Stadium, Tipperary have missed a penalty and they're 8 points down. Galway 2 points, Wexford 2 goals. Do I have that right? Wexford have scored 2 goals inside the first 5 minutes. Johnny Ward at Pearse Stadium.
What's going on? No Leach in.
Yeah. Offaly 124, down 114 in the John McDonnell Cup. Carlow 21 points, Laois 121. Actually, Carlow now 22 points. They're 2 points down to Laois in Netwatch Cullen Park. And Leinster 62-7 down. It was coming maybe a big defeat, given they got the Champions Cup semi-final next week. The Bulls 62, Leinster 7. Graham Gartland, Dan McDonnell and Johnny Ward on Football Saturday. You want to text us 53106, and we're back after this.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Sky. Watch Bournemouth versus West Ham this Sunday. Live only on Premier Sports.
This is News Talk.
This weekend on News Talk, we're partnering with Make-A-Wish Ireland to celebrate Wish Week starting on Monday.
Join us all week as we interview resilient and brave children and their families and hear how Make-A-Wish has given them hope during the hardest times of their lives.
Did you know that Make-A-Wish delivers approximately 200 wishes every single year? And to make these wishes happen, They need your help.
Listen in next week to hear what it means for a family to have a wish granted and learn how you can help.
So get involved in Wish Week 2023 by taking on a challenge, getting creative or hosting a party, and visit newstalk.com/make-a-wish to find out more.
Remember, where there's a wish, there's hope.
InsureMyVan.ie. Hi, I'm Ken Doherty. For all van drivers and business owners, InsureMyVan.ie is Ireland's low-cost van and commercial insurance specialist. For high-quality van and all commercial insurances, call InsureMyVan.ie.
City Financial Marketing Group Limited, trading as InsureMyVan.ie, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The global financial situation is uncertain, and many investors are turning to gold for stability and security. Have you noticed that gold prices are on the rise again? Goldcore has been a trusted provider of gold for 20 years and is here to help you add this valuable asset to your portfolio. For investment advice on how you can buy gold coins or bars, talk to our Goldcore experts. Visit gold.ie to discover more. That's gold.ie.
Get super spring deals on Whirlpool appliances at Harvey Norman, like the Whirlpool 9kg washing machine with Fresh Care Plus that keeps your laundry fresh, even hours after the cycle has ended. Now $4.99. Pair with this energy-efficient Whirlpool 8kg heat pump tumble dryer with 6 Sense technology that automatically detects the right cycle and drying time for you. Now $649, save €50 with our best prices guaranteed, in-store and online. Super spring deals now on at Harvey Norman. Don't miss out.
Go!
Herbst Software have 40 years of IT know-how empowering B2B companies, reducing admin, whilst boosting live managerial possibilities. For Lean is the golden seam that can bring your company a dream team. Herbst Software, Irish-built innovations integrate all business operations, take away mistakes and give workers the breaks. To be fair, we're small enough to care, yet big enough to be the best in the sectors we suggest. At herbst.ie, that's herbst.ie.
This spring, live the moment at the award-winning Castleknock Hotel. Situated on Dublin's doorstep, Castleknock Hotel has everything you want from a great hotel. With a choice of heated outdoor dining areas, stunning cocktail bar, vibrant and atmospheric restaurants, relaxing spa and pool. You'll be spoiled for choice. Enjoy your spring escape at castleknockhotel.com.
Virgin Media customers, the power to play lies in the palm of your hand with our best price mobile plan exclusively for you. Add our new free Spirit Unlimited plan to your Virgin broadband for just €20 a month and enjoy the freedom to move with a 30-day contract. Switch your mobile today. See virginmedia.ie/mobile. Virgin Mobile. It's playtime.
Terms and conditions apply. See virginmedia.ie.
Maybe your passion's not red, but white. Maybe you have green blood or cry gold tears. Maybe your pride is purple or your belief is blue, because the colours you wear are the colours you feel. The GAA Hurling All-Ireland Senior Championship, sponsored by Bord Gáis Energy, Centra and Air. These are our counties. These are our colours. Advanced ticket sales only. Get yours at gaa.ie or selected Centra and SuperValue stores. GAA, where we all belong.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Sky, don't miss Newcastle versus Spurs on Super Sunday. Live only on Sky Sports.
This is News Talk.
And you're welcome back to Off the Ball Saturday here on News Talk. John Duggan with you through to 5 on Football Saturday with the former League of Ireland and FAI Cup winner Graham Gartland and Dan McDonnell of the Irish Independent and Johnny Ward in studio with us. 53106, we'll come to the text in a moment. Liverpool 3, Forest 2 in the Premier League. If they win, which they should, given the way this is going, Liverpool will be up to 6th in the table and within 6 points of Newcastle.
That's a big should, JD, the way this game has been going.
Yeah, it's been a crazy game.
Yeah.
Newcastle will have played a game more. That game is live on News Talk tomorrow. 4th against 5th, Newcastle against Spurs. Also in the Premier League, Leicester have scored again. 2-1 against Wolves, coming from behind. Now, huge goal for Timothy Castagna at the King Power. So that is, significant down the bottom, and that would take Leicester out of the relegation zone and leave Everton, Forest and Southampton in it, because Everton are drawing at the moment away to Crystal Palace. It's goalless, and they've been reduced to 10 men as well. Everton down to 10 players, with Mason Holgate sent off for a second yellow card. Brentford 1, Aston Villa 0, Ivan Toney on the mark. and Liverpool, as I said, 3-2 up. We'll keep you up to date on that. Fulham 2, Leeds 1 is a result. Manchester United play Brighton tomorrow in the Cup. Sheffield United and Man City just about to kick off at Wembley. 53106. Partitionist News Talk, says one of our texters. We were talking about the all-Irish players.
I don't.
Dan and I are both.
Wouldn't be my personal opinion, but I'm just saying that I was looking it up recently, and that was the stat that I found. Yeah.
What about Anthony Barry in the Chelsea Bayern took a war for him, a man in demand, says Paul.
It's crazy. Like Anthony Barry, his reputation. I mean, he was excellent on a pro license course that sort of won a lot of people over, and chat to people who know him, and he's like, Anthony Barry's a scouser, he's sort of a very down to earth fella. That's why players like him. You hear him described, and people imagine this sort of guru type figure, but he's actually a real football man. But he's just clearly very good, and it's a mad experience.
Tuchel wants him, and he's gone to Bayern.
Yeah, that's it. The compensation deal is, I think it's been done, hasn't it? So I'd say he's
probably better off out with Chelsea as well at the moment, is he?
Yeah, even Graham, I wouldn't go to Chelsea.
Yeah.
I was watching the League of Ireland Twitter feed last night, and Oisin Lang was doing an interview with Stephen Bradley, and is Jack Byrne staying? He's staying. So what's the story there? He's not going to America.
That was, to be honest, he's been staying since Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon. So it wasn't news before the game last night that he wasn't. I think it was done by then.
Dan made a good point as well, where it was in the newsletter, where you're like, it's like, you actually did. It was like, League of Ireland club turns down, say, 400, 500 grand for a player who's out of contract at the end of the season is actually kind of mad, but that's where Rovers are at.
Well, it's where Rovers are at, but I think it's also, probably any club that was the champions might have done that because they know one round in Europe in the summer is worth more than what Charlotte would have paid. And I think Jack Byrne wanted to go. He spoke to us afterwards, and he was honest enough about sort of, if the two clubs don't agree a fee, they don't agree a fee. He wanted to go to Charlotte and try his luck in the MLS and see how that went. And I think it would have been a downer from this week. In fairness, McMahon played last night and he was good, and people are talking about him again in positive terms because he didn't have a great 2022 by his standards.
He was in the Irish team.
Yeah, he's been in the Ireland. That's it. He was in the Ireland squad 2020. He's actually been out of it for a while. He went to Cyprus and he actually had a bit of a back problem, and he's probably spoken about it in here. He's probably not got back to those levels, but Stephen Bradley did say last night he felt that Jack was getting back to the levels pre-Cyprus, and he's 27 on Monday. He's still got a lot of football ahead of him if he can, I suppose, just stay injury free. So listen to Jack, will he let his contract run down? It's a possibility, and see what comes his way at the end of the season, see what Europe does from this year, because he didn't really capitalise on that last year. But I'm glad he's staying from the perspective of someone going to watch him every week. But
would they win the league without him?
I understand his disappointment. Would they win the league without him? Are they capable of doing it? Yes. It would be a big blow, definitely, because they're so used.
Is he the best player in the league?
I think on his day, when I think on his day, and also they're probably so used to him being in the side and how they play. Now they have Dylan Watson, Graham Gartland, very good players, but the one thing about last night in the league, probably should mention it. People talk about Derry's squad, but they haven't really had them. But then Colin Whelan, who they signed over the winter, is a very good player.
UCD.
Yeah, and he comes in. Colin Whelan was meant to go to England last year, or maybe Italy, and he did his cruciate and basically ended up at home as a consequence. And Derry got him ahead of Shamrock Rovers. They could have stolen a march in them. And in his first game last night, he came off the bench and scored. So someone like that could be a game changer for Derry.
Nearly as impressive as
it's
the goal.
Potential, but Rovers looking very, very solid. But Jack will be here, and I can't imagine Rovers would sell him in the summer either. Just for the sake of it, I think will his contract run out again? It's a possibility, but I'm sure Rovers will try and do it if they can. But do you do it with a clause or something? I don't know.
One of the industries in English football, given it's a global game over there, is the transfer and the you can see Evan Ferguson's name on every back page in the summer. Probably is he going to stay at Brighton?
I think that's the information, I suppose, is that it's quite likely he'll sign a deal with Brighton. Now that just delays the inevitable rather than rules it out. It's always one of these things, a youngster signs a new contract to commit his future and everyone's like, that's it, he's going nowhere. Often, I know Brighton say they don't do release clauses, but often, the deal is more so Brighton protecting their asset as well, and giving them a big proper contract, so that helps in terms
we're
of
talking about a
valuation.
massive, like hundreds of % pay rise here.
Oh yeah. Like I'd speculate. I actually don't know who the highest paid Ireland player at the moment will be. It might be someone like Seamus Coleman because he's there a long time. I wouldn't imagine it's Nathan Collins, even though we got a big move last summer. It could be Coleman because he's that long. But Matt Doherty probably actually would have been maybe at Spurs. I don't know what his terms would be with Atletico. But yeah, like Ferguson's going to go jump right up that bracket.
I think it shows great loyalty and maturity from Ferguson as well, because to sign the deal and be loyal to Brighton and give them that maybe extra 15 million that they might get, or 10 million that they might get on it, because he's in a longer term contract, for everything that Brighton have done from him.
They're a very good side as well.
Exactly.
And he must really enjoy.
There's no rush.
And
exactly.
his development in that team, like imagine if he were playing for like one of these big teams who are flopping this season.
Well, also I think it was Miguel Delaney wrote about that the system, the players fit into the system at Brighton, and there's players who've left Brighton who flopped.
Yeah.
So like including at Tottenham, Basuma. You can argue that Cucurella hasn't had the best of times at Chelsea. Yeah. So there's a danger in a young lad, a teenager, leaving a club like Brighton where he's doing well and is like in his first season really, going to a big club, and it might not work out.
But not under massive pressure at Brighton compared to like if you throw him into the cauldron of say like Man United on the back of like the pressure they're under at the moment, and things slightly go right for him. I think he's just been very well managed and very well advised.
But also what happens is if United come in and have to put in a bigger bid, say United are looking at Ferguson at the minute and they're thinking, right, he's worth 25 million, he signs a new contract that might be worth 35. They have to play him, they have to back him now to go that he's our main striker. So you're putting extra value on yourself by going into a new club. It's not just we're signing this player that might be an impact player. No, he's going to be our main man for the next 5 years. So him having the maturity and the wherewithal to know that signing with Brighton on a longer term contract protects me, but if a club wants to take me out of here, they have to make me their main striker to do that. And that's where I think where a lot of younger players think, oh no, I'll get me big money move now, when it mightn't be right. Where if I wait and put value in myself, the other club then has to go, right, we're all in here and we're gonna really back you to be our number one.
Villa have equalised, by the way. Douglas Luiz 1-1 at Brentford.
I think the valuation Brighton have is higher. I know you're just
I was just giving an example. I was just picking random numbers. Listen, there might be 40 million and you get 50 for him. It might be something like that.
Going that territory. I think he's going to be the most expensive Irish player ever.
It might be 30, say if it's 40 million now, he signs a new contract and it might be 10 million to get him out. I've no issue like that. That's very clever from him, because now if you're paying 50 million for somebody, the chairman then goes, why isn't he playing?
Brentford have scored, we'll have to wait and see if it's confirmed, but 2-1 against Villa.
You're saying the championship as well, but it looks like Blackpool, they're 1-0 up away at Birmingham, and Wigan also winning. So the sort of the great escape of Blackpool and
Who's
Wigan.
in charge of Blackpool now?
So it's Stephen Dobbie after Mick McCarthy to give it to like
Stephen
Dobbie, and Matt Blinkhorn is his assistant, who played in the League of Ireland with Sligo Rovers. So I see QPR have just scored away to Burnley, so that might take QPR to safety. But Noel Hunt and Reading are losing. I mean, Reading got a points deduction because of financial irregularities, but they're looking odds on to go down as it stands.
Birmingham 0, Blackpool 1, Bristol City 2, Rotherham 1, QPR 2 away to Burnley 1. Finished Cardiff 1, Stoke 1, Coventry 2, Reading 1, Hull 1, Watford 0, Norwich 0, Swansea 3, Wigan 2, Millwall 1. 12 points to Kerry, 2 points for Tipperary in the Munster football semi-final. Connacht football semi-final. Sligo are into the decider, 2-16 to 6 points win over New York. Wexford leading Galway 2-1 to 6 points in the hurling Leinster round robin in Galway, Pearse Stadium. It's Antrim, Dublin who drew 119 apiece. Earlier on, Carlow equalised 122 to Laois 122 with a last minute penalty in the John McDonagh Cup. A draw there. Offaly 126 down 115 a result. Kerry beat Kildare 117 to 14 points. England won the Six Nations game in the women's 48 points to 0 against Ireland at Musgrave Park. Leinster losing 62-7 to the Bulls in South Africa, and Galway United beat Sligo Rovers 2-1 in the women's Premier Division there in Galway today.
CJD and McEverton are in the relegation zone now.
Yeah.
Look at Everton's next 6 games. So it's got Newcastle at home, but then they play Leicester next weekend. I mean, what a game.
That is a 12-pointer.
What a game that is. And then
12 even enough?
Then that might
24?
that might be a Monday game even, or it might be Monday night next week. Then they're away to Brighton home to Man City, 3 games from the end. Like that's the way the way things are going. That's not going to be great. Okay, the last 2 games against Wolves and Bournemouth, who could both be safe. So you might have a chance, but. Yeah, I mean, that Leicester potentially winning today. We've written them off at the start of the show, but they've overtaken Everton and Forest, who
are losing 3-2 to Liverpool at the moment. We're nearly up there at Anfield, 3-2 Liverpool lead. Yeah, so Leicester 28 points on goal difference over Everton, with Forest on 27 and Southampton on 24. The problem with Everton is can't score goals.
I mean, I'm just looking at that. Leicester have scored 43 goals. And look at the 3 teams below them. Everton have scored 24, Forest 26 and Southampton 27. Yeah. Look, Leicester's position is crazy, really.
It is,
that they could be vulnerable. So that could be huge for them now today.
Dean Smith in there at the moment. What I was really kind of heartened by the week was, first of all, the support in like Seville and Rome. I thought was fantastic when it really seeped through the TV, and also the return of Jose to being somebody that might be back in the big time.
Bit of nostalgia for you, JD.
Sure, look, I live my life like that.
Yeah, if you've been like to games in almost like England exclusively, it's crap compared to other countries. Like there's way better atmosphere at games. Like the Premier League is sanitised, everyone is sitting down. There's not really a proper ultras culture. Maybe Palace is quite good, Sellers Park, but go to Italy, go to Spain, go to like Greece, go to Turkey, different ballgame.
I think the Premiership needs standing sections.
It's coming, I think, isn't it?
I tell you what, I wouldn't mind being on Man City Arsenal now Wednesday, I have to say.
Manchester City is one of the worst atmospheres, I'd say, in the modern game.
JD, I'm not with you here.
We've got about 15 seconds to go, so all I can say is
one is sponsored by Etihad, one stadium, one is sponsored by Emirates.
Johnny, we mention a young lad, Dylan Duffy, scored for Lincoln today.
Liverpool have won, full-time result at Anfield. Liverpool 3, Nottingham Forest 2, up to 6th in the table. Graham, Dan, Johnny, thanks so much, folks.
Thanks, JD. Enjoy
JD. And enjoy yourselves, lads. Don't forget, Off the Ball back tomorrow 1 to 7 here on News Talk. Joe Malloy in the chair. We'll showcase live and exclusive commentary of the Premier League game between Newcastle and Spurs from St James's Park. Stephen Doyle and Kenny Cunningham on the call. We've also got reports and reaction from the GA Football Championship matches involving the All-Ireland champions Limerick and Waterford in the hurling, and Galway and Roscommon in the football. Tommy Walsh and Shane Kern providing expert analysis from around the country from the venues. We also have the best bits of the Sunday papers with Kieran Cunningham and Cleena Foley checking out the best writing. Be sure to tune in to Joe tomorrow at 1. If you missed any of OTB Football Saturday with Mark Lawrenson, Graham Gartland, Dan McDonnell and Johnny Ward, or our hurling championship preview with the panel, James O'Connor, Brian Hogan and Michael Verney, you can find the podcasts on the Off the Ball section of the Go Loud Network, or be sure to listen back wherever you get your pods. Thanks so much for listening to us on your radio across the country here on News Talk Today. We will speak soon. Bye-bye.
Give my ball and he out of grass. He'll give you a move for the perfect pass. Give my ball and he out of space. He'll give you a move with godly grace. Rat-tat-tat.